Chapter 389. As soon as he said that, everyone was stunned. No one would have thought that the god stone that countless people dreamed of was actually such an inconspicuous black box. If you guys don't believe me, you can let the two soldiers from Sandstorm try to destroy the box with all their strength. Even if they use diamond to carve it, the black box won't suffer any damage, Yangchun said as he shook his head with a smile. Ever since he obtained the god stone, almost no one knew about this secret. Back when he returned to the country and rented a small apartment, he hid the black box in the bathroom. After moving, he hid the black box in the underground parking lot. Yangchun had thought of throwing it into the Mariana Trench, a place that humans couldn't reach at the moment. However, he felt that in today's world of technology, if he left the god stone in a place that he couldn't control, it might be found by some technologically advanced countries. Therefore, he hid it in a place that most people wouldn't think of, his own home. No one would think that such an important thing would be hidden in the wall in such an old-fashioned way. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. Moreover, no one would doubt the shape of the god stone. Moreover, Yangchun had placed a man-made crystal inside. Even if someone found out, they would probably think that the crystal was the main body and not the box. Mahabrahma naturally didn't believe that this broken box belonged to the real god stone. Therefore, he ordered Erebus to immediately inform the two soldiers to try and destroy the black box. On the screen, one of the soldiers threw the black box on the ground. After stepping on it, he took out an American-made Nighthawk military knife and stabbed it down. Clang! After the sound of metal clashing, the Nighthawk military knife that was worth tens of thousands of dollars was broken into two. Everyone at the scene was finally moved. That was a military knife that could even cut a diamond. How could it be broken just like that? It really is the god stone. Mahabrahma's face was filled with ecstasy. On the other hand, Abbas and Miao and the rest sighed bitterly. Their last bit of hope had been dashed. They thought that Yangchun would bring out a fake like how he had dealt with Yamata sect previously. But now, it seemed like it was the real deal. Yangchun, if you do this, it is very likely that this world will be plunged into misery and suffering. Do you have the heart to do that? Yu Jizi frowned. Yangchun chuckled helplessly. If this thing is in my hands, there will always be people fighting for it. Although I'm called a god, I'm not a real god. I can't keep that thing forever. It's even more impossible for me to stay by my family's side and protect them all the time. Therefore, giving the stone away might be a way to free myself. Even if that's the case, we shouldn't hand it over to these evil people. Kai Ning looked at Yangchun with a complicated gaze and said quietly. Yangchun shrugged. Whether they're evil or not is not up to me. I'm not some great hero who is respected by millions, but I'm a man with a family. An evil glint flashed across Mahabrahma's eyes. Your Majesty Pluto, I really like what you said. It's indeed better to let go of such fetters. However, just in case, I've decided to continue borrowing your fetters. As he spoke, Mahabrahma said to Mahakala, let those two sandstorm warriors enter the villa and kidnap those women. The corner of Yangcheng's mouth curled into a sinister smile. It was just as he had expected. Even if he gave them the god stone, they would still kidnap Lin Ruashi and the others. In the end, they were still worried that he would suddenly use some method to kill them. Only by holding Lin Ruashi and the others hostage could they leave Huaxia with peace of mind. In the past, Yangchun had always been alone, so he didn't have to worry about being held hostage. Now, he didn't only have Lin Ruashi by his side. Whether it was Guo Xiuhua, Mother Wang, Qiang Wei, Mo Qianni, or the other women, they were all his weaknesses. Of course, he didn't hate these weaknesses. Yangchun had thought about letting people he trusted protect them, but that wasn't an absolute guarantee. The result of that would only make their lives in the country more difficult. Moreover, the higher-ups in Huaxia would definitely feel nervous. After all, it was too scary for those forces to stay in Huaxia. Zhonghai would become the hidden focus of the world. Instead of that, he might as well move all the people he cared about overseas and gather them together. However, which of his female confidants wasn't independent and strong-willed? Not to mention how they interacted with each other. Who would be willing to be protected like a canary and be kept as a pet? That was no different from slowly committing suicide. Therefore, even though Yang Cheng was constantly taking the risk of being threatened, he could only strive to find a balance between freedom and safety. He didn't expect that the opponent this time would be so difficult to deal with. Most importantly, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade that acted as a protective umbrella had completely lost its effect. However, Yang Cheng didn't plan to just watch as Mahakala commanded the 2 soldiers from Sandstorm to capture Lin Ruoshi and the other 3 women. "Hey, the one hiding behind the door, have you seen enough?" Under everyone's surprised gaze, Yang Cheng looked at a closed alloy door on his left and said calmly, "Not only you Jizi, Yin Miao, and the rest, but the dozen people from Brahma also looked in that direction. I thought you were a defective product. I didn't expect you to actually be able to find me." The alloy door slowly opened to both sides. A tall and strong figure slowly walked out from behind and entered everyone's sight. It was a young man from Middle East wearing a loose, semi-transparent white linen shirt and light-colored jeans. He was handsome, but strangely, there was a tattoo of a copper spear on his left cheek. It made him look more murderous and evil. This young man was fairer than most people from the Middle East, especially his blue eyes. It was obvious that he was of mixed blood. At the same time, his black, curly hair was draped behind his head. There was a sparse beard on his face, and he wore a silver earring. On his finger was a platinum ring with a ruby. He looked very lazy, which made him look similar to the usual Yang Cheng. "Olinos, why are you here?" Mahabrahma looked confused when he saw this young man. "Are you the one who personally led Sandstorm's operation? Why didn't you tell us beforehand?" Ujizi, Yin Miao, and Kai Ning were shocked when they heard this. This young man was the leader of Sandstorm, the terrifying army from the Middle East. Was he the legendary young man who created the miracle of Sandstorm in 2 years? Why was he here all of a sudden? This young man, named Olinos, didn't seem to hear what Mahabrahma said. The lazy expression on his face gradually disappeared and was replaced by greed and excitement. He stared straight at Yang Cheng and said, "It's been more than 500 years. I didn't expect that only 3 years after I woke up, there would be someone and something worthy of my attention. Don't let me down. I knew it was you. You're the only one who could make me think about these things. I was wondering why there were soldiers who couldn't be killed like zombies. So you're the one who woke up. Other than a lunatic like you who only thinks about war and battles. Who else would use the forbidden pseudo-deification experiment of the gods to train a group of biochemical soldiers to fight for you everywhere?" Yang Cheng sighed and smiled bitterly. "I heard from the previous Pluto that you were forced to reincarnate early in order to fight for the God Stone with that woman. Why? Do you want to get hurt again?" Olinos' face turned gloomy and murderous. This murderous aura was incomparable to anyone Yang Cheng had seen before, including the dead Noriko Okawa. It was as if merely this young man standing there was an army of the dead that had existed since ancient times. The murderous aura emitted from him was like a clap of thunder, and the neighing of horses was like a tsunami, causing people to tremble with fear. On the high platform, Mahabrahma, the experts of Brahma, Ujizi, and Yin Miao were all terrified. They felt an irresistible, turbulent aura engulfing their hearts like a storm. Even standing around this young man made them pale and powerless. The people from Brahma struggled to resist the aura the young man emitted. At the same time, fear appeared on their faces. Obviously, as the employer of Sandstorm, they didn't know that the leader of Sandstorm had come to Zhonghai personally. This was beyond their expectations. To make matters worse, they realized that this shop owner didn't seem to be friendly to them, the customers. However, Yang Cheng looked at the young man who was getting angrier and angrier. He said with relief, "Although I came later, and I'm no longer the Pluto, you know, I also learned from that person that you hate people who anger you the most. However, I also learned from that person that you hate people who anger you the most. Moreover, even if you know that they are angering you, you will not oppose them. You will only use battle to solve all problems. All right then, according to the Treaty of Gods, in order to unseal me, I need a god to send me a message to fight. Ares, let me defeat you just like Athena did back then." "How arrogant! Ares laughed out loud. Do you think that I won't attack you if you don't anger me? That old man must be tired of living. Did he think that he could just find a random little guy to solve the problem? He doesn't deserve to be a member of the Protoss. You're just a fake. How dare you embarrass yourself in front of me? Today, not only will I take the Godstone, but I'll also kill you. You'd better be prepared to reincarnate or commit suicide. The conversation between Yang Cheng and Ares shocked everyone once again. Ares? Yang Cheng called this young man Ares. This young man is Ares. Everyone here was knowledgeable. Even if they didn't know what the Treaty of Gods was, they knew what the name Ares represented. One of the 12 main gods, the god of war. Chapter 390. Everyone was dumbfounded by the news. Of course, they didn't think that Yang Cheng was lying. Judging from Olino's terrifying aura, it wasn't something they could withstand. The entire aircraft carrier base in a huge space actually produced a huge pressure out of nowhere because of this man's anger. Everyone felt their internal organs being compressed, and there was even a force pushing them away. Yang Cheng, on the other hand, was the focus of all the pressure. Although Ares' aura couldn't cause any real damage, it was already a signal to fight. Damn it, isn't it Olino's? Why is it the god of war? I've never heard of him. Hercules roared. He took so much money from us. Why are we being pressured as well? The Shura lady shrieked. The agate prayer beads in Mahabrahma's hand flashed with a red light, blocking the pressure from all directions and allowing his subordinates to relax a little. Regardless of the reason, it doesn't seem to be as simple as we thought. Sandstorm accepted our employment and participated in this mission probably to obtain Godstones. Are they using us? This speculation made the other Brahma members pale. They had just seen Godstone and thought that they weren't far from success. They didn't expect that they would immediately become someone else's stepping stone, or even cannon fodder. Kai Ning stared at the two young men in front of her in a daze. She recalled the information she had on Ares, the god of war, and whispered to Ujizi and Abbas Yunmiao. Legend has it that Queen Hera gave birth to the god of war, Ares, after touching a flower on the Olino's plains. That must be the reason why that man has always used Olino's as his name. How did things turn out this way? Ujizi looked bitter. He thought that even though his martial arts weren't the best, he would still be unbeatable. Who knew that after he left the mountain, not only would he be intimidated by Yang Cheng, he wouldn't even be able to defeat the people from Brahma. Now, there was a god whose aura he couldn't even withstand. At this moment, Ares asked with a strange smile, New Hades, is this all you can do? Where's your aura? Yang Cheng turned around and looked at Kai Ning and the others. All of you, do your best to escape from this place. Run as far as you can. Don't make a move on your own. I'll handle everything. Seeing Yang Cheng's serious expression, the three of them knew that he was not joking. Since the aura that Ares emitted was so difficult to resist, then at a lord of the same level, Yang Cheng would naturally emit the same aura. If the two of them really fought, how could they withstand it? Although he was curious as to how a main god's unsealing battle would look like, he did not dare to stay any longer. He hurriedly sprinted toward the entrance of the aircraft carrier with all his might. Let's go too. Mahabrahma let out a loud cry and dashed toward the gate of the base in a flash. Mahakala, Shiva, and the rest of the elites of Brahma followed closely behind him. They wanted to leave this troublesome place. As for the unconscious Lin Jigua on the high platform, they could no longer care about him. At this moment, they were very clear that the difference in strength between them and a main god was too great. Although they could use hostages to threaten the Hades king, they had no way of controlling this god of war who had appeared out of nowhere. I've waited for so long before I can unseal myself. How can I let you guys escape? Yang Cheng's cold laughter suddenly appeared in front of Mahabrahma. Mahabrahma, who was escaping, looked up and saw Yang Cheng, who had blocked their path at some point in time. Not to mention that terrifying speed, that ordinary face, that ordinary figure at this moment was like a majestic mountain ruthlessly pressing down on everyone's heads. Just like Ares, Yang Cheng had completely released his aura. Hades King, if you dare to attack, I will immediately use my mental power to order those 2 sandstorm warriors to kill your family. They have my spiritual seed planted in their bodies. Mahabrahma was about to open his mouth to threaten Yang Chung, but unexpectedly, before he could finish his words, his entire body had disappeared into thin air. Yes, disappeared into thin air. The insufferably arrogant Mahabrahma didn't even have a chance to resist. He was completely erased from this world without any warning. It's the shattering of space. Mahabrahma exclaimed in a trembling voice. The other elites of Brahma were also indescribably shocked. They couldn't understand how Mahabrahma had disappeared. Even if it was a magic trick, it wouldn't be so mysterious. Huh, you actually know about this ability? 2 cold lights flashed through Yang Cheng's eyes. Just now, if you had taken the Godstone and left obediently, I wouldn't have bothered to kill you. After all, with the Godstone, you can attract other people's attention. I can also save myself the effort. However, it was you who chose to use my family to threaten me. It really makes it hard for me not to kill you even if I wanted to. In the distance, Ares watched as Yang Chung and Brahma's group confronted each other. He had no intention of interfering and only shouted, "Hades King, don't waste words. Get them out of here, my fists are already itching." Mahabrahma's face turned red. He knew that his life was hanging by a thread. He roared, "Everyone don't panic. Help me defeat this person. Even if he's a god, we will still kill him." The moment these words came out, the other Brahma members immediately understood Mahabrahma's meaning. Almost at the same time, everyone threw the weapons in their hands at Mahabrahma. The agate prayer beads in Mahabrahma's hand flew into the air. With a whoosh, they burst into a bewitching red flame. The beads absorbed all the weapons that were thrown at him and began to burn. In just a moment, the flame suddenly exploded. A faint golden, giant light monster flashed out from within. The monster had a head full of snake hair, 8 arms, and 4 heads. Each of its hands held a different weapon. It was the weapon that the Brahma members had just used. There was a Vajra, a divine conch, a trident, a divine disc, and a curved blade. The light monster's entire body was also burning with a surging greenish-purple demonic flame. Sitting on a monster that looked like a snow lion, Yang Chung clicked his tongue and sighed. Finally, I've heard that Brahma's strongest technique is to use a secret technique to summon the unapproachable mother, the goddess Durga. I thought you guys only cared about escaping and didn't intend to use it. Fortunately, you guys used it. I'll let you die a quick death, one that you'll accept wholeheartedly. Humph, goddess Durga will definitely kill you demons. After presiding over the summoning, Mahabrahma seemed to be extremely weak, but he still yelled. In ancient Indian mythology, the bull demon king of the Western paradise was the overlord of the demons. He was so powerful that he drove Indra and the other gods out of the heavenly palace. After that, with the help of Brahma, Shiva, and the other gods, he used their hatred to give birth to goddess Durga in flames. Furthermore, the goddess obtained the spiritual treasures that all the powerful gods lent her and easily defeated the bull demon king. Therefore, goddess Durga was equivalent to the most powerful existence in ancient India. Yang Chung watched as the giant light shadow of goddess Durga approached and waved the trident and the crescent blade. However, he didn't dodge and just stood where he was. When everyone thought that they were about to strike Yang Chung, they were stunned to find that goddess Durga suddenly appeared behind Yang Chung. Boom! With 2 loud noises, 2 large cracks appeared on the ground, and the force passed through the steel plate and shattered the granite floor. However, goddess Durga's attack missed for no reason. How did the blade that was originally aimed at Yang Cheng's head suddenly move to the back of Yang Chung? Space folding. Mahabrahma's face turned livid as he finally realized how helpless the situation was. Yang Chung wasn't in the mood to continue playing. Okay, get out of here like your good brother Mahabrahma. After Yang Chung finished speaking, before the people of Brahma could say anything, the space changed again. Crack, 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 crack. With the sound of dozens of bones breaking, all the elites of Brahma, including Mahabrahma, were cut in half at the waist for no reason. Their upper bodies fell to the ground almost at the same time, and their faces were still filled with panic. Then, their lower bodies slowly fell to the ground, and their blood dyed the ground into a continuous stream. Space. Fall. Mahabrahma murmured the 4 words and died with his eyes open. After the death of the people of Brahma, goddess Durga dissipated, and all her weapons fell to the ground. Chapter 391. No one was enjoying this strange scene anymore, because the 3 of them had already run out of the base. Only Yang Cheng, Ares, and the unconscious Lin Jigua were left in the huge base. Ares sneered, "Not bad. You've piqued my interest. You've mastered the law of space quite well. This is the 2nd time I've used it. However, I'm not unfamiliar with it. That's all there is to it," Yang Cheng said. "If that's the case," Ares licked his lips and said excitedly, "Let's begin." Yang Cheng first took a glance at the big screen on the stage. Seeing that the 2 sandstorm warriors didn't do anything other than hugging the god stone, Yang Cheng felt relieved. He turned around and said to Ares, "You wouldn't ask your men to kill my family in the middle of the battle, would you?" Ares snorted. "Do you think I'm an idiot like them?" In Ares's dictionary, there is no such thing as blackmail. If it's something I want, I'll take it by force. If I want a god stone, no one can stop me. Today, I'm here to send you to reincarnation. After that, I'll return to the Middle East with the god stone." Yang Cheng pursed his lips. "I don't think so. 500 years ago, Athena sent you to reincarnation. Not long after that, she started reincarnation. Now that you're awake, she might wake up too. What if she comes to snatch it from you again? That bitch. Do you think I'm afraid of her? She's just using her prophecy to gain the upper hand. In terms of combat power, she's no match for me." Ares roared. "I don't know what happened between you 2. However, it's not a good thing for a battle maniac like you to have the god stone. The other over-gods don't care about you because they can't defeat you. I don't think I can't defeat you. I'll fight with you for a few rounds. Maybe after that, you'll agree to keep the god stone with me." Yang Cheng smiled confidently. "Ha! Do you really think that you, who obtained the position of god by relying on the name of God-Slayer, can match me? Don't think that I don't know. That old fellow Hades was just tired of living and dispersed his divine sense. He committed suicide. It was definitely not you who killed him." Ares said, "It's not up to you to decide whether or not we can fight. If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you talking more nonsense than me? Have you, the god of war, become rusty after sleeping for 500 years? Yang Cheng teased. Ares was furious. He didn't want to waste any more words. He stared straight at Yang Cheng and roared. The entire aircraft carrier base inside the mountain that was tens of thousands of square meters shook. Cracks began to appear on the seemingly impregnable steel plates, and the ground also began to crack. Yang Cheng furrowed his brows and moved a few hundred meters away from where he was standing. The moment Yang Cheng dodged, 3 sharp bamboo shoots that were tens of meters tall, a mixture of granite and metal, protruded straight out from where he was standing. It was like a spectacle that rose from the ground. "Good fellow, playing dirty right from the start." Yang Cheng smiled slightly and moved in a circle unhurriedly. Every time Yang Cheng moved to a place, there would be all kinds of steel plates and stone walls rising from the ground, or huge rocks falling from the top. Yang Cheng didn't just stay idle and dodge. He also used the method of space folding and fault, turning the various rocks and metals on the top and underground of the base into his weapons. It was like a circus, constantly turning into various huge objects that collided with each other. The falling rocks and metal plates that formed the walls weighed at least tens of tons. If an ordinary person was hit, they would immediately become minced meat. The weight was more than 10,000 pounds. However, in the battle between the 2 of them, it was as light as a feather. "This place is too small. Let's fight outside," Ares shouted. The base, which seemed indestructible, was split into 2 halves from the middle. "Just what I wanted." Yang Cheng glanced at the high platform where Lin Jigua was still unconscious. A thought flashed through his mind, and the 2 steel doors were directly placed on top of Lin Jigua's head to protect him. Following that, just like Ares, Yang Chung manipulated the huge space, causing the base that had already been split in half to break vertically. At the same time, at the port a mile away, Abyss Yin Miao, Kai Ning, and Ujizi, who had escaped, stared at the situation of the secret base with their mouths agape. They couldn't believe that the cliff in front of them, which extended all the way to the top of the mountain, had actually been split into 4 halves by a strange, huge force. Following that, countless rocks, soil, grass, and trees were turned into fragments and sank into the raging tides. They were standing so far away, but they could still hear the earth-shattering sound of the collision of the waves. One had to know that the inside of the base was an aircraft carrier made of stainless steel, yet it was so easily split into 4 halves by 2 people and even completely destroyed. Kai Ning and the other 2 finally understood why the Treaty of Gods had restricted the over-gods from unsealing those who weren't at the god level. How could such power exist in this world? If they were in an aircraft carrier instead of a mountain, wouldn't the aircraft carrier be completely destroyed? Furthermore, if the over-gods were in the city, among the crowd, they could slice the entire space into pieces. Not only would many people disappear into thin air, but the entire city would also be completely destroyed in the blink of an eye. This is practically the legendary scene of deities and Buddhas fighting. Ujizi mumbled. Luckily, our aircraft carrier isn't in there. Otherwise, no matter how sturdy it would still be completely destroyed, Kai Ning said. Abyss Yin Miao suddenly remembered that Lin Jigua was still there. Oh no, I have to save him. Abyss Yin Miao quickly flew towards the direction of the base. No matter how much they quarreled, he was still her husband. Kai Ning and Ujizi looked at each other. Naturally, they couldn't ignore her and quickly ran back. Above the sea, the bright moon hung high in the sky. The cold wind was bone-chilling, and not a single cloud could be seen. The dark sea was churning with monstrous waves. On the surface of the sea, at least 100 meters away, 2 figures stood in the air. They were Yang Chung and Ares. Both of them could use parallel space and control the law of space. Naturally, it was very easy for them to stand in the air. However, in a situation where both of them had control over space, it was impossible for them to casually shatter space and shatter their opponents, distort their opponents, or cut them into pieces. The only thing they could do was to destroy their opponents' physical bodies and force them to reincarnate, or completely destroy their consciousness. However, that wasn't very realistic. Therefore, the 2 of them destroyed the mountain where the base was located and fought until the sky was dark. However, there wasn't much of a real battle going on inside. They were only competing on each other's use of the law of space to see if there were any loopholes, so as to pave the way for the later battle. It seems like you've indeed inherited that old Hades understanding of the law. However, the old Hades wasn't my opponent, and neither will you. As soon as Ares finished speaking, he used the space folding technique to instantly appear in front of Yang Chung. A fist with the power to shatter space suddenly struck towards Yang Cheng's abdomen. Yang Chung wrapped his hand and instantly condensed the shattered space. At the same time, he wrapped his other hand around Ares' fist and used his hand to chop towards Ares' neck. Ares bent his body and withdrew his fist, dodging Yang Cheng's seemingly ordinary hand chop. However, although Ares had dodged it, the ocean beneath him did not. A trench that was more than 100 feet deep and more than 100 feet long suddenly appeared in the ocean. It was the destruction caused by Yang Cheng's hand chop, which contained the space rupture. Ares naturally wouldn't be courteous, and he successively launched a few punches and palms that were swift like bolts of lightning. Even though they seemed to be ordinary moves that merely possessed extraordinary speed, they actually contained countless profound spatial laws, and the slightest carelessness would cause one to be easily annihilated. Yang Chung received them one by one. While constantly stabilizing the space around him, he also destroyed the effect brought about by the other party's law of space, looking for an opportunity to counterattack at any time. The two's law of space clashed. Although they couldn't hurt each other for the time being, the use of countless laws still caused various trenches and tides to appear below them. The ocean currents were incomparably chaotic. The seawater seemed to be flowing backwards, creating countless waves. The surging momentum immediately formed tsunami-like surging waves that swept towards the port. However, Yang Cheng and Ares didn't have the time to care about the huge destruction caused by their casual attacks. They continued to use the law of space to mediate in midair. As for Abyss Yin Miao, Kai Ning, and Ujizi, who were following behind, they returned to the vicinity of the base. Coincidentally, they encountered the tsunami-like waves and were instantly horrified. When they were watching from afar, although they saw the terrifying battle and the shocking destructive power, they were still able to withstand it. However, they didn't expect that when they were up close, they would feel what it meant to cover the sky and destroy the earth. Fortunately, the three of them had excellent Qigong. When they saw that the tsunami was about to engulf them, they had already avoided the low-lying areas. They weren't swept away, but they were completely drenched. When the three of them arrived at the depths of the base, they arrived at a place that had been destroyed beyond recognition. After a careful search, they finally found Lin Jigua's location. However, Grey Robe, who they hadn't seen before, was now beside Lin Jigua. Chapter 392. Grey Robe, where did you go? Why are you only here now? Abyss Yin Miao was worried about Lin Jigua and thought that Grey Robe, who had been protecting Lin Jigua, had died in battle. She didn't expect him to be fine, standing there as usual. Lin Jigua had also woken up from his coma. Seeing Abyss Yin Miao and the others rushing over, a faint smile appeared on his face. Yin Grey Robe had something to do. It wasn't because he didn't protect you well enough. Grey Robe lowered his head in silence, but didn't explain anything. You? Abyss Yin Miao looked at Lin Jigua from head to toe and asked, "Are you all right?" Lin Jigua pointed at the triangular protective roof formed by two huge steel plates. It was rather eye-catching in the mountain ruins. He said, "It should be Yang Cheng who protected me. Luckily, I survived." I can tell. You don't even know when the enemy is coming. You've led the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade for so many years for nothing. Abyss Yin Miao said with dissatisfaction. Lin Jigua smiled bitterly and said, "It's a long story. Let's take a look at the battle between Yang Cheng and Ares first." Only then did everyone turn to look at the two silhouettes in the sky. Although they were so small that they couldn't be seen clearly, they could still feel the aura spreading from them, even from afar. Yang Cheng and Ares were indeed locked in battle. The difference in strength between main gods wasn't huge. At most, it was a difference in battle experience and techniques. However, Yang Cheng and Ares were both people who had been on the battlefield for many years. There wasn't a clear difference in their skills. They exchanged blows, but neither gave way to the other. Seeing that he couldn't take down Yang Cheng after a long time, Ares was furious. After all, to him, Yang Cheng was just a defective product. As a true main god and a god of war who excelled in battle, how could he not be able to defeat Yang Cheng? "You can force me to use it. You're quite capable." Ares suddenly flew away. The bronze spear tattoo on his face suddenly flashed and disappeared. Then, a 3-meter-long bronze spear as thick as an arm suddenly appeared in Ares' hand. The bronze spear was engraved with simple and unadorned patterns. It was slightly damaged, but it was still flowing with a sharp green light. Especially the spearhead of the bronze spear. It was shaped like a halberd. It should be a sharp weapon used in ancient wars to kill in all directions. Ares' hand. Yang Cheng was stunned. "Ha! I didn't expect you to recognize this artifact," Ares said proudly. "At the beginning of the world's creation, the Titans, Mother Earth, the descendants of Gaia, the giant clan, forged our respective artifacts for us. Hades originally had his own helmet of invisibility, which allowed him to disappear without a trace. Even our sovereigns were unable to discover him. However, in his reincarnation 3,000 years ago, it was lost. Now, even if you inherited his understanding of the law of space, you don't have any artifact in your hands. Although my Ares hand is not enough to fight against Zeus' lightning and Poseidon's trident, it is enough to deal with you. Go to hell." As soon as he finished speaking, Ares rushed towards Yang Chung again. After a few consecutive space jumps, he had already flashed in front of Yang Chung. Yang Chung was about to dodge the sharp spear, but he was shocked to find that the space around him was actually frozen. Stupid. The function of my Ares hand is to freeze space instantly. Ares laughed and took advantage of this empty space. The spear was about to pierce through Yang Cheng's head. Yang Chung knew that if he was hit, he would really be reincarnated. But if that happened, what about his family? Absolutely not. Almost in a flash, Yang Chung instinctively activated his most commonly used endless resolve restoration scripture. His Xiantian true qi surged wildly in his meridians. From the beginning until now, because it was a battle of the law of space, Yang Chung had not thought of using internal martial arts to fight against Ares. After all, compared to the confrontation of space, Yang Chung felt that internal martial arts were not very useful. However, at this critical moment, the space was frozen, and he could not dodge in time, so he could only use his remaining strength. Originally, he had no choice but to give it a try. Unexpectedly, the aura of the Xiantian True Qi was actually activated. The aura went on a rampage, like a fierce tiger that had been restrained for a long time, and it exploded in the entire frozen space. The Xiantian True Qi was like a substance condensing into a huge aura around Yang Chung. Compared to the past, it was more abundant in times of crisis. Ares originally thought that if this attack continued, Yang Chung would definitely be defeated. However, he did not expect that when the copper spear was less than half a meter away from Yang Cheng's body, it could not go any further. How is this possible? What kind of power is this? Ares didn't believe it no matter what, so he pushed it again. Yang Chung felt a stabbing pain in his chest, but he was not really stabbed. It was just that the sharp aura made his chest hurt. The Xiantian True Qi in his dantian was stimulated by this, and it began to spin crazily. A huge force, through the rotation, spread out to the surrounding aura. Bang! With a muffled sound, Ares, together with the copper spear, was bounced back. He flew back for more than 100 meters before stopping. In his panic, Ares forgot to organize another attack. He looked at Yang Chung in disbelief, unable to say a word. Yang Chung also felt that the Xiantian True Qi in his body seemed to be more abundant, as if it had been stimulated and had increased a little, but the specific reason was hard to figure out. What made Yang Chung even more puzzled was, why was the Xiantian True Qi not bound by the frozen space, still able to break through the space around his body, and even had the power to send Ares flying? Could it be Xiantian True Qi was not bound by space? This thought suddenly appeared in Yang Cheng's mind, causing Yang Chung to be shocked. What kind of power is that? It's not the law of space. The space around you has clearly been frozen. Ares asked solemnly. Yang Chung smiled, frowned, and said, "This is the martial art of Huaxia that I cultivate. It's an inner force. I don't know why it's like this, but it seems to be very useful. You could try again." Inner force? Huaxia's martial art? Ares was so angry that he laughed. Are you kidding me? How can something created by humans defeat us, the Protoss? In his anger, Ares was too lazy to think too much. With another big jump in space, he froze the space around Yang Chung, and with a slashing sweep, he slashed at Yang Cheng's waist. Yang Cheng's expression was solemn, and he circulated the Xiantian True Qi in his hand. He gritted his teeth and slapped at Ares' hand. Clang! With a metal clang, Ares' hand was repelled by Yang Cheng's Xiantian True Qi, and even Yang Chung himself realized that the power of Xiantian True Qi was more than a few times stronger than Ares' strength. A bold idea finally appeared in Yang Cheng's mind. Xiantian True Qi, transcending the law of space? Doesn't this mean that Xiantian masters have a chance to surpass the Lord God? Back in Japan, when Yang Chen reached the 9th level of the Endless Resolve Restoration Scripture, which was the Xiantian full cycle, he vaguely felt that there was a higher level of martial arts that he could explore. However, The feeling back then was not as strong as it was now. After all, the power of the Lord God, in addition to their strong bodies, was the law of space control. And if Xiantian true Qi could pass through the shackles of space, then the power that the Lord God was so proud of was completely useless. Of course, this was only an assumption, and it did not mean that Xiantian true Qi could really transcend space. At the very least, Xiantian masters could not stand in the air, nor could they use Xiantian true Qi to destroy a large area or cut a huge trench in the sea. That was something that only the Lord God's law of space could do. It was not that easy for Xiantian true Qi to reach such a realm, and many people thought it was impossible. However, at this moment, Yang Cheng could use Xiantian true Qi while mastering the law of space, which was like adding wings to a tiger. Ares was also extremely shocked and angry. He had clearly frozen his opponent's space, but was repelled twice. It was a great humiliation. However, before the fanatical Ares could attack again, Yang Cheng rushed up first. Good one. Ares waved his bronze spear and met the attack. Another attack froze the space around Yang Cheng. However, Yang Cheng did not care. He did not use the law of space, and directly shot out two Xiantian true Qi with his palms. The Xiantian true Qi that surged over immediately gave Ares a dangerous signal. Don't think of hitting me. Fold. The space in front of Ares was folded into another layer of space. According to his assumption, the two true Qi would change their trajectory and directly shoot to another layer of space. However, the two streams of vital energy directly broke through the folded space, completely ignoring the trajectory of space and the laws of nature. After passing through the layers of space, they blasted Ares' chest. Puff! Ares felt a sharp pain in his chest, and the feeling of being overturned made him spit out a mouthful of blood. His body was like a kite with a broken string, falling into the sea. Although the body of a lord was strong, it was not completely immortal. The two Xiantian true Qi condensed 100% of Yang Cheng's strength. If it hit an ordinary person, it would be enough to tear that person into pieces. Ares only suffered internal injuries, but it was already very terrifying. Yang Cheng watched Ares fall in midair and looked at his palms with some suspicion. Xiantian true Qi actually passed through space. However, not giving Yang Cheng much time to think about these problems, Ares' figure once again flew up from the turbulent sea. Chapter 393. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. The blood was stained with seawater, so it was not obvious. Ares' gaze was like that of a lion that had calmed down after a violent rage. He stared at Yang Cheng for a while and asked, "This is Hua Xia's internal energy?" "Yes." Yang Cheng nodded. "I'm also very puzzled by the aura. I only found out today that this thing can actually ignore the laws of space." A complicated look flashed across Ares' eyes. After a long time, he said, "You win." Yang Cheng was stunned and smiled. "You're just like the rumors. You always shout that you want to win before a fight. Even if you lose, you admit it readily." Ares said resentfully, "Do you think I'm the kind of coward that can't let go? If I lose, I'll win it back with my fist next time. Although you've won against me today, you still can't kill me. Although your Chinese kung fu can injure me, you should know very well that it's impossible for you to kill me." "I know." Yang Cheng nodded. "I don't plan to kill you. If I kill you, you'll be reincarnated for a few hundred years. There's not much meaning in that. It's good that you know." A trace of struggle flashed across Ares' eyes. "Since you've won, the Godstone will naturally belong to you. However, when I find a way to restrain you, I'll continue to challenge you. One day, I'll take the Godstone." Yang Cheng asked gloomily, "Why do you have to do this? You're already immortal. Why do you have to find the Godstone? Just like that be asterisk TCH. Ares laughed sinisterly. Yang Cheng recalled the history he knew and frowned. "After so many tens of thousands of years, you still can't accept this world? The other main gods have already integrated into this world. Why can't you and Athena? Because that's the meaning of my life. Athena, that be asterisk TCH. Although I don't like her, I like that she's able to uphold our beliefs." Ares chuckled and coughed a few times before saying, I'm leaving. I'll take the people from Sandstorm with me. As for the God Stone, you keep it. Don't ever lose it. I'll come back to ask you for it. With that, Ares disappeared from midair in a flash. Yang Chung sighed. He suddenly felt that this fellow was actually quite cute. For tens of thousands of years, he had never changed his ideals. He admired his persistence. After sorting out his thoughts, a dark cloud flashed in Yang Cheng's eyes. After taking a deep breath, he slowly landed on the base of the ruins. There, Kai Ning, Abbess Yun Miao, as well as Lin Jigua, who had just woken up, were all waiting in anticipation. How is it? Did that god of war leave? How's the God Stone? Kai Ning, who was usually calm, couldn't help but ask. Yang Chung smiled at her. He couldn't beat me, so he ran away. He said that he would leave the God Stone behind. Is that so? Fortunately. Kai Ning smiled knowingly. Abbess Yun Miao and Yu Jizi also looked at each other and smiled. However, Lin Jigua still didn't look too good. He seemed to have something on his mind. Yang Chung walked in front of Lin Jigua and stared into Lin Jigua's eyes. He asked expressionlessly, shouldn't you explain something? Lin Jigua was stunned. He asked, what is it? It's about what you've done. As Yang Chung spoke, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Lin Jigua's face darkened. He smiled bitterly. You already know? I'm waiting for you to say it. Yang Chung said coldly. I'm guessing that since Orinos, oh no, I should call him Ares, has been lying to me from the start, it's only natural that he would expose me. Lin Jigua was more at ease after knowing that Yang Chung already knew. What is it? What are you guys talking about? Abbess Yun Miao and the others asked. Yang Chung didn't say anything. He waited for Lin Jigua to speak. Lin Jigua thought for a while and said in a low voice, that's right. All of this was indeed planned by me. The others were even more confused. They looked at Lin Jigua nervously. Gray Robe, who was at the side, closed his eyes in sorrow. Yun, do you still remember where our son and daughter-in-law died in battle? Lin Jigua suddenly asked Yun Miao. Yun Miao was stunned. Her face was filled with sorrow as she said with a trembling voice, Kashmir. Yes, Kashmir, the border between India and Pakistan. Lin Jigua smiled mockingly. I was the one who sent them there. Why did you mention this? I wanted to tell you that the people who killed our son and daughter-in-law were from Brahma, Lin Jigua said. Yang Chung and the others were shocked. Yang Chung frowned as he thought about it. He remembered that Abbess Yun Miao was familiar with Lin Jigua's crimes back in Tibet. She mentioned that his son and daughter-in-law died in Kashmir, but he didn't pay much attention to it back then. Abbess Yun Miao's eyes reddened. Really? That's right. I've been investigating for more than 20 years. I only confirmed last year that it was Brahma who killed them in Kashmir. Lin Jigua's eyes were filled with hatred. If it wasn't for them, our son and daughter-in-law wouldn't have died. We wouldn't have lost her parents since she was young. You wouldn't have left me, and our family wouldn't have become so miserable. Abbess Yun Miao turned her head away and wiped her tears. What's the point of saying all this? It's already in the past. No, it's not in the past. What I want to talk about now is because of what happened 20 years ago. Following that, Lin Jigua's narration stunned everyone present. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Just last month, Yellow Flame Iron Brigade received a secret report that Brahma of India was planning to attack Huasia's nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Brahma also hired the world's top mercenary from the Middle East, Sandstorm, to fight alongside them. This news made Lin Jigua furious. However, he knew that the situation was bad. After all, the opponent was too strong. Lin Jigua hated Brahma to the core because of what happened to his children. Now that they were coming to attack his country, how could he tolerate it? While thinking about how to deal with them, Lin Jigua thought of borrowing Yang Cheng's strength. Therefore, a bold idea popped up in Lin Jigua's mind. Lin Jigua secretly contacted the leader of Sandstorm, Olinos, who was also known as Ares. Lin Jigua told Ares that he could pay twice as much as Brahma and have Sandstorm work together to sow discord between the two of them. The plan was simple. Using Yang Chung and Sandstorm's hands, they would eliminate Brahma's people in the aircraft carrier. At the same time, Lin Jigua was also thinking about the God Stone in Yang Cheng's hands. It was not that Lin Jigua did not want the God Stone, but he had never had the chance to snatch it. If he were to fall out with Yang Cheng, he knew that the consequences would be dire. Therefore, this plan to sow discord became an opportunity. First, Lin Jigua took the initiative to contact Sandstorm. He offered twice as much as Brahma and hired Sandstorm to put on a show. Then, after Sandstorm agreed, Lin Jigua contacted Brahma and proposed a deal to exchange Godstone for the aircraft carrier. Lin Jigua told Brahma that he was willing to help Brahma obtain Yang Cheng's Godstone because he knew exactly who was with Yang Cheng. At the same time, he could mobilize the people of Yellow Flame Iron Brigade and not interfere with Brahma's search for Godstone. What he needed was Brahma's promise not to destroy the aircraft carrier with Sandstorm. After all, Brahma was an organization that had a better understanding of the Godstone. After weighing the pros and cons, they immediately decided to cooperate with Lin Jigua and put on a show to force Yang Cheng to hand over the real Godstone. When Brahma and Sandstorm arrived in Zhonghai, Lin Jigua pretended to be captured by Brahma and set up a trap for Yang Cheng to come to the aircraft carrier so that he would not have time to protect Lin Ruoshi and the others at home. As for the Sea Eagles, Lin Jigua had already told the people of Sandstorm their exact location, so they were able to control them. Lin Jigua's plan was very detailed. As long as Brahma got the Godstone through Sandstorm, Yang Cheng would not suspect that he was the one who obtained the Godstone. He would only think that Brahma had it. Moreover, Brahma would definitely capture Lin Ruoshi and the others as hostages. This would completely infuriate Yang Cheng. The one who actually obtained the Godstone was Lin Jigua himself, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, and the Lin family. By the time Brahma realized that the warriors of Sandstorm had taken the Godstone and did not give it to them, they would have already become the scapegoats. Moreover, as long as Sandstorm acted as a spy and rescued Lin Ruoshi and the other hostages, Yang Cheng would definitely kill Brahma's people. Even if they killed Brahma and did not get the Godstone back, Yang Cheng would not suspect Lin Jigua. Unfortunately, Lin Jigua had miscalculated someone important, Ares. Ares was the god of war. His intention was to take this opportunity to take the Godstone and kill Yang Cheng. As for Brahma and the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, to him, they were just tools to play with. He was a battle-hungry person to begin with. Playing with this kind of battle was just a hobby. In other words, from the beginning to the end, Brahma was just a pitiful worm being used by both sides. Lin Jigua originally thought that he was the mantis stalking the cicada, but he did not expect that Ares would be the Oriole behind. When Lin Jigua finished narrating everything, everyone looked at him with indescribable gazes. After the shock, Abyssian Meow was filled with sorrow and disappointment, while Ujizi was filled with indignation. Kaining lowered her head. She was unwilling to say anything, and she did not want to see Lin Jigua either. Grey Robe seemed to have known that this would happen. He stood there silently, without saying a word. Yang Cheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "No wonder the aircraft carrier was suddenly removed and disappeared. No wonder you even miscalculated the most basic thing, such as when the enemy would arrive. Not only did you miscalculate, the enemy even knew the whereabouts of all of us long ago. Oh yes, a while ago, Yang Lai suddenly came to my house, wanting to take Huilin away. You were the one who leaked the news, weren't you? Did you already know that the women in my house would be taken as hostages? So you were worried that your granddaughter would be harmed. So you made use of Yang Lai to take her away. Is that right?" Lin Jigua smiled bitterly. "I didn't expect you to even guess this. Yes, you did use a covert method to let Yang Lai know that Huier was at your house. Unfortunately, that idiot Yang Lai did not manage to take her away. Perhaps it was the will of the heavens. My plan failed, but Huier is still safe." Yang Cheng smiled. "There are still some loopholes in your plan, but I can't help but admire you. This move is indeed ingenious. It's impossible to defend against it. Your only mistake was that you were unlucky. The leader of Sandstorm is Ares. That guy was born to fight and fight. He's not a schemer, but he's not stupid. Humph. And he's a guy who doesn't keep his promises," Lin Jigua said in disdain. Yang Cheng laughed. "Do you really think that he sold you out?" "What?" Lin Jigua suddenly came to a realization. He pointed at Yang Cheng and asked with a trembling voice, You, you tested me on purpose? The others also looked at Yang Cheng in surprise. Yang Cheng nodded. That's right. At first, I only suspected that you were the mastermind behind all this. But I couldn't be sure, so I tried to get information from you. Who knew that you would really admit to it? Ares didn't say anything and left. If it wasn't for your guilty conscience, I wouldn't have found out the truth so quickly. Lin Jigwa staggered 2 steps back. He looked miserable. You made so many arrangements, and even let your subordinates get injured. Sky Dragon almost died, but in the end, it still ended up like this. To be honest, I can't understand what you're thinking. What you're doing is simply courting death, Yang Cheng sighed. Lin Jigwa suddenly laughed coldly. Gradually, his laughter became louder and louder. What do you know? What do you know? Do you know how bitter my heart is? Let me tell you, Yang Cheng, Lin Jigwa said. I've been the head of the Lin family for more than 20 years, almost 30 years. Because I'm the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, I can't be too arrogant. The Lin family can only be considered as a second-rate family in Beijing. I'm head of the organization that protects Huaxia, but I always have to see a bunch of idiots rolling their eyes at me and mocking me behind my back. But I can't refute them at all. It's been almost 30 years, and I've been enduring it silently. But what did I get in return? The Lin family can't grow stronger. My son and daughter-in-law have all sacrificed their lives for the country. My wife and granddaughter have all left me to live in the mountains. I'm the only old man in the family. My other relatives even think that I'm not capable enough to make the Lin family strong. Lin Jigwa screamed. Abbess Yun Miao's eyes started to tear up. Her face was filled with sadness and sorrow. Gray Robe closed his eyes in pain. He obviously knew that Lin Jigwa's life wasn't easy. Lin Jigwa's breathing was a little chaotic. A few veins popped up on his forehead. He continued, All these years, other countries have been strengthening their hidden security organizations. Be it America's Blue Storm, Russia's Soviet Medal, or even some non-official organizations like Yamada Sect, Vatican, Jaguar. The speed of their growth is much faster than our Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. We have the most people, but our quality is constantly dropping. More than 10 of our warriors have died in order to defeat a single enemy agent. How can such an organization protect this country? We've been seeking development, but who can help us? Those idiots only know how to fight for fame and wealth. They don't know that without us, they would have been chopped into pieces by those foreign organizations. If it wasn't for this country, do you think that as an elder, I would speak to you in such a humble manner? Do you think that I wouldn't even talk back to you after being mocked by you? Yang Cheng was speechless. Lin Jigwa's words made sense. Although he had taken the wrong path, it was still understandable. I've had enough of people looking down on me. I've also had enough of speaking to people who are obviously weaker than me. Lin Jigwa scoffed. Since the matter has been exposed today, I don't plan to continue sitting in this position. Yang Cheng, if you still have a bit of conscience, don't tell anyone about what happened today. I only want to resign from my position, go back, and become an old man. Before Yang Cheng could speak, a slightly magnetic male voice came from the small hill behind the ruins. If you make a mistake, you have to be punished. If you run away, it means that you know you're wrong and won't change. Everyone was shocked and looked in that direction. Yang Cheng was in disbelief. At such a close distance, he actually didn't notice anyone approaching. How is this possible? Chapter 394. Gradually, the vague silhouette of a man appeared behind the small hill. He was walking at a leisurely pace. At this moment, the man was already less than 20 meters away from them. However, everyone realized that they couldn't see his movements or figure clearly. They only knew that he was getting closer. Only when this young man walked up to them did they see clearly that he was actually a handsome man with a gentle smile on his face and long black hair that hung loosely over his shoulders. He was wearing a navy blue robe, which was similar to Kunlun's old Taoist Ujizi. However, he looked more casual. The man was about 7 meters tall and had a scholarly air about him. However, no one could tell what his smile meant. They only felt that this man was exuding an unfathomable strangeness. You are? Ujizi was the first to ask. It wasn't that he wanted to stand out, but he felt that the man's clothes and appearance were somewhat familiar. The man glanced at Ujeezy with a faint smile. He clicked his tongue and said, "I didn't expect little Jeezy to wear the Kunlun Elder Taoist robe." "Why? You don't even recognize Uncle Master?" Ujeezy's expression suddenly changed. As if he had thought of something, he took 2 steps back while trembling. He began to carefully look at the man in front of him again. He seemed to be recalling something as he revealed a frightened and flustered expression. The man laughed. "I still remember that when you first came to the mountain, you didn't know anything. Every time you had a problem with cultivation, you would come to me and ask me. I asked you, why didn't you ask Senior Brother Sect Leader, but me? You said Master is too fierce. Uncle Master doesn't scold me for being stupid. At that time, I thought that this man's future would be extraordinary. Since he was young, he was willing to be flexible, unlike those disciples who would endure the scolding without asking other Uncle Masters. It's a pity that you still can't see it clearly. It's been more than 80 years. Why are you still at the early stage of Xiantian?" Plop! Ujeezy suddenly knelt on the ground. His body quivered. He kowtowed heavily in front of everyone and shouted, "Ujeezy pays respect to Uncle Master Ling Suzi." Martial Uncle Ling Shuzi. Abbas and Miao seemed to have thought of something as well. Lin Jigua and Grey Robe were deep in thought as well. On the other hand, Yang Cheng and Kai Ning had no idea what was going on. Who was Ling Shuzi? Also, this person said, 80 years, and Ujeezy called him Martial Uncle. How is this possible? If he was Ujeezy's martial uncle from 80 years ago, he would be at least 100 years old now. How could he look so young? He was even younger than Yang Cheng, who was 24 years old. Ling Shuzi sighed and said, "No wonder you can't break through to the innate realm. It turns out that you've been misled by my stubborn senior martial brother. What's the point of doing all this? Kneel and worship me? I'm not a deity. I don't need you to kneel and worship me. Little Jeezy, if you're filial, you should at least give me some money when you see me. I've been wandering around Zhonghai for the past few days. I've seen a lot of good restaurants, but I don't have enough money for my travel. I'm dying of hunger." Ujeezy's face turned bitter. He was still in a daze just now. After hearing Ling Shuzi's words, he said gloomily, Martial Uncle, Oh no, Little Jeezy didn't bring any money with him." Hearing Ujeezy calling him Little Jeezy in front of young Martial Uncle with a red face, Yang Cheng had the urge to laugh out loud. "Forget it. I'll be heading back after settling tonight's matter." Ling Shuzi glanced at Lin Jigua and asked with a smile, "As the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, you should have guessed my identity, right?" Lin Jigua smiled bitterly. He felt that God was playing a big joke on him. He sighed and said, "Senior, you must be from Hongmeng, right?" "That's right. I'm the Hongmeng messenger who has been on duty for the past 5 years. This year is also the last year of my duty. I didn't expect you to give me such a headache at the end of the year." Ling Shuzi shook his head and sighed. Hongmeng? Hongmeng messenger? What's this? Except for Lin Jigua, everyone had the same question in their minds. Lin Jigua closed his eyes and said, "Why is it like this? In the past, when so many warriors of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade died, and our resistance was so weak, Hongmeng had always been like a legend, illusory and without a trace. But now, after I've given up and made this decision, Hongmeng actually appeared in front of me?" Ling Shuzi chuckled and said, "Don't you understand? Hongmeng will never give up on this land. It's you, your own heart, that has been shaken." Lin Jigua's face turned gloomy, and he remained silent. At this moment, Ujeezy couldn't help but ask, "Junior uncle, didn't you? Why did you?" "Hey, just say it if you want to. What are you stuttering about?" Ling Shuzi said with dissatisfaction. Yes. Ling Shuzi asked carefully, "When I was only 20 years old, didn't Junior uncle, when you were traveling in Huaxia, you were ambushed by your enemies, and that's it? Why did you? You want to say that I'm not dead? Why am I standing in front of you again? And I look so young." Ling Shuzi smiled faintly. Ujeezy nodded vigorously. "I'm not telling you," Ling Shuzi said proudly. Everyone was speechless, but at the same time, they were shocked. Was this young man really Ujeezy's junior uncle? Abbas Yin Miao finally remembered who the person in front of her was. She exclaimed, "I remember now, Ling Shuzi of Kunlun. You're the rare genius of Kunlun in 1,000 years, Ling Shuzi." Ling Shuzi hummed and said, "Little girl, you know me too?" Abbess Meow swallowed her saliva and said, "When I was young, I heard from my junior granduncle that you were the first genius in Kunlun in the past 1,000 years to cultivate Kunlun's ultimate secret technique, the boundless universe incantation, to Xiantian full cycle. However, when you were wandering the world, you were assassinated by your enemies and unfortunately died. How did you? Moreover, weren't you already in your 40s? Looking at your internal energy, you should be a descendant of Shu Mountain, right? Is your junior uncle, Mo Doweran, that baldy?" Ling Shuzi curled his lips and said, "He's too free. Since he can't break through the Xiantian stage, he's in the mood to tell stories to juniors like you. As expected, junior uncle, have you broken through the Xiantian stage and crossed the legendary threshold?" "You," Jeezy exclaimed. No wonder junior uncle looks so young." Ling Shuzi smiled and said to Lin Jigua, "Come with me. You're not fit to stay here anymore." Lin Jigua closed his eyes in pain and asked, "Senior, can you tell me why you waited until the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade is in such a miserable state before you showed up instead of helping us when we were in a tough battle?" The legend of Hong Meng was left by the previous general before he died. It's a name that has almost been forgotten. Even I can't believe it anymore. Why are you not willing to save the country when you clearly exist? The smile on Ling Shuzi's face gradually disappeared. He said seriously, "Lin Jigua, don't you understand? It's not the country that's in danger, but your own greed. Do you really think that Hua Xia is already in danger? Do you really think that Hua Xia's 5,000-year-long legacy is going to be ruined?" Without waiting for Lin Jigua's reply, Ling Shuzi continued, "If a truly powerful nation wants to survive, it can't rely on the protection of a few people to develop. If the youngsters of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade were to meet with some setbacks, and some people died, the few of us old fellows would have to step in to help you. Then everyone would have the same thought in their hearts. It doesn't matter if we lose and retreat, because there will be absolute power to help us clean up the mess. This kind of thinking will only make all the young people lose the will to improve. The real experts will experience the test of life and death. After wandering on the edge of life and death, they will be enlightened and have the hope of breaking through their limits. Among the countless ancient civilizations in the world, we, Hua Xia, are the only nation that has never been cut off. We don't rely on the existence of Hong Meng. Instead, we rely on the indomitable bloodline of every true citizen of Hua Xia, which they are proud of. Only by continuously going through the tempering of blood and fire can the fire of a nation be passed on. As the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, you not only don't believe in yourself, but you also don't believe in your subordinates. You only feel that God is unfair to the Lin family. It's as if all the citizens of Hua Xia owe you. How stupid. What do you think the soldiers of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade died for? What do you think the soldiers of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade fought for, even though they knew that they would die in battle? Even though they knew that they would die, they still stood in front of you without hesitation. You, who only needs to give orders, couldn't hold it in anymore. You, are you worthy of the previous general's trust in you? Are you worthy of your subordinates and the passion of these young people?" After Ling Suzi finished speaking, Kai Ning, Abbess Yun Miao, and the others all had sorrowful expressions on their faces. At the same time, they were excited and emotional. On the other hand, Lin Jigua's face was pale. He stood there with a sorrowful expression, as if his soul had left his body. He couldn't say another word. "All right, that's all I have to say. Now, I will fulfill one of the two responsibilities of Hong Meng and bring you away." After Ling Suzi finished speaking, he walked towards Lin Jigua. However, Grey Robe, who had been silent all this while, suddenly appeared in front of Lin Jigua. His wrinkled face looked sorrowful. "If you want to bring Master away, kill Grey Robe first." Chapter 395. Ling Shuzi was stunned. He didn't expect someone to stop him, but he wasn't angry. He smiled and said, "Kid, move aside." You know you can't stop me. It's not a matter of whether I can stop you or not, Grey Robe said seriously. Grey Robe was saved by Master, and that's why I'm still alive. Other than protecting Master, I don't have any other thoughts in my remaining life. I know that if you want to take Master away, you'll definitely imprison him until he dies. That would be worse than killing him. Grey Robe can't stay by Master's side, so I'd rather die to thank Master for saving my life. Grey Robe, move aside. Lin Jiguo raised his head, and his eyes reddened. Senior Ling Shuzi, I'm just fulfilling my responsibility in Hongming. I'm the general of Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, and I should be judged for my mistakes. Master, Grey Robe has always obeyed Master's orders. Even though Grey Robe couldn't agree with Master's plan, he didn't interfere at all. He just watched from afar and didn't stop Master. But this time, Grey Robe is going to disobey Master's order. After Grey Robe finished speaking, he gathered all his true chi and got into a fighting posture. Ling Shuzi didn't react at all, as if he was waiting for Grey Robe to attack. Yang Cheng stood aside and looked at Ling Shuzi standing there, feeling that something was wrong. It was a mysterious feeling. This person was standing in front of you, but it felt like he was in another world. Even though Yang Cheng had mastered the law of space, he had a strong feeling that this person wasn't bound by space at all. However, none of the others, including Ujizi, could tell what was going on. At this moment, Grey Robe finished gathering his true chi and suddenly exerted his strength. Like a gray shadow, he appeared in front of Ling Shuzi like a flash of lightning and slammed his palm on Ling Shuzi's chest. Bang! A muffled sound was heard, but it wasn't because Grey Robe hit something. Before Grey Robe's palm touched Ling Shuzi, an invisible force sent Grey Robe flying. Grey Robe rolled a few times in midair before finally falling to the ground. He could not help but cough out a mouthful of blood. He had actually suffered quite a bit of internal injury. Ling Shuzi stood there expressionlessly and sighed. Poor you, a man in your 60s, but you are still so loyal. In this world, there was love and reason. Love could be greater than reason, but not now. I have to do what I have to do. He can no longer be a general. He knows too many of Hua Xia's secrets. I have to take him away. But don't worry, he'll have a good place to live out his remaining years. As long as I, Grey Robe, am still breathing, I will never let Senior take Master away. Grey Robe staggered to his feet, still wanting to continue fighting. You can't even get close to me. How are you going to stop me? Ling Shuzi sighed. Even if we can't stop him, we have to. Just as Grey Robe was about to charge forward again, Abbess Yun Miao, who had been silently watching Lin Jigua, suddenly knelt down and said to Ling Shuzi, Senior, please spare this man. Although he made a mistake, he finally knows his mistake. Senior, please allow me to bring him back to Shushan. Let him live out the rest of his life there. Yin'er, seeing that Abbess Yun Miao was actually pleading for him, Lin Jigua immediately burst into tears, but he was speechless. I know that you two are husband and wife, but there is no room for negotiation, Ling Shuzi said and walked towards Lin Jigua once again. Don't even think about it. Grey Robe widened his eyes in anger and rushed forward to stop him. Ling Shuzi frowned slightly. Even Buddha could be angry. He had already transcended the mortal world, so there was a limit to how much he could tolerate. Seeing that Grey Robe was going to fight Ling Shuzi again despite his injuries, Lin Jigua's face flashed with determination. Suddenly, he took out a gun from his coat pocket and pointed it at his temple. Grey Robe, stop! Master. When Grey Robe saw Lin Jigua pointing a gun at his head, he instantly froze. I've made up my mind. Don't make things difficult for Senior Ling Shuzi. Lin Jigua forced a smile. I understand your feelings. I'm glad that you didn't participate in this matter like I did. Grey Robe, you've been with me for many years. Instead of saying that you're my subordinate, you're more like my old friend. After I leave, I believe that the Lin family will gradually decline. However, I hope that you can help as much as you can. Grey Robe closed his eyes in pain. Lin Jigua then looked at Abbess Yun Miao. Yun, leave the Lin family to Hui'er. I know that you're not interested in taking care of the family's affairs, but you're the wife of the Lin family's leader after all. After I leave, I hope that you can let Hui return to the Lin family and slowly take over everything. Just take it as my last shameless request as a husband who has let you down. What happened this time was my fault. I brought shame to the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, caused these young people to suffer, and almost let the God Stone fall into someone else's hands. However, I'm glad that I've avenged our son and daughter-in-law. Abbess Yun Miao didn't say anything. She nodded with teary eyes. Lin Jigua then looked at Yang Cheng with a complicated gaze. In the end, I still couldn't raise my head in front of you. However, it doesn't matter anymore. I hope that you'll treat Ruashi well in the future. She's a pitiful child. Yang Cheng smiled evilly. You finally want to tell me the truth? Lin Jigua chuckled. I've said everything that needs to be said. You'll find out sooner or later. If you're done, let's go. Ling Shuzi walked forward and held Lin Jigua's back. Lin Jigua nodded and turned around. Ling Shuzi seemed to have thought of something. He turned around and smiled at Yang Cheng. I've watched the battle just now. I hope that you can learn something from it. After that, before the others could bid farewell to him, Ling Shuzi held Lin Jigua's back and teleported more than 100 meters away in the blink of an eye. Even Yang Cheng couldn't see clearly what kind of teleportation method it was. There was no distortion of space at all. Instead, it seemed like they had directly teleported from one place to another. Before the others could take another look at the magical scene, Ling Shuzi had already disappeared with Lin Jigua. The few people present were silent for a while. Yu Jizi said, I didn't expect that Uncle Master would really step into that realm. So there's really such a realm above the Xiantian realm. On the other hand, Yang Cheng had a clearer understanding in his heart. Indeed, his guess was right. It was impossible to protect this country forever by relying on the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. Obviously, there were some people like that who truly stood at the end. These people should have broken through the Xiantian full-cycle realm that he was currently at. Previously, he could only vaguely feel that there was still room for improvement. Now, he could be sure. Then, he felt that Ling Shuzi's teleportation method of leaving made Yang Cheng feel even more enlightened. In front of him, there seemed to be a door that had never been opened before, slowly revealing a small gap. What are you thinking about? Kai Ning suddenly asked softly. Yang Cheng shook his head. Nothing. I can't explain it clearly. Oh yeah, now that Lin Jigua has left, what about the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade? Abbess Yun Miao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said, Don't worry. Hongmeng has two main responsibilities. The first is to protect the foundation of the country, and the second is to supervise the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. The second is to supervise the general of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. After all, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade is a secretive and unconventional organization, and they can't go through the legal process. Therefore, if the general is put on trial, Hongmeng will use a special method to arrange for the next general. All we need to do is wait for the new general to take office. Yang Cheng nodded. He wasn't too worried. Now that the matter had been resolved, he thought of Imo Qianni, whom he had arranged to stay at Rose Bar. Since he was with Xiang Wei, the two women must have been worried about him. He couldn't help but want to rush back to see them. Since there's nothing else, I'll be heading back first, Yang Cheng said to the few people present. Yu Jizi cupped his hands. Thank you, little friend Yang. This time, it's all thanks to you that I survived. Yang Cheng waved his hand and turned to leave. Running as fast as he could to the pier where he had parked his car, Yang Cheng drove crazily on the streets of the city in the wee hours of the morning. The events of the night had happened too quickly. When Yang Cheng remembered that he had forgotten to call home to explain why he hadn't returned home, he couldn't help but feel vexed. Lin Ruashi would probably be angry at him again. It was fine if he went out to eat with another woman, but he didn't even return home at night. Wasn't that just asking for trouble? But he couldn't call home in the wee hours of the morning, and he couldn't tell her what he had done tonight. Therefore, Yang Cheng gave up on explaining. When he arrived at Rose Bar, there weren't many people inside. There were only two unknown members of Red Thorn Society working at the bar counter. However, Yang Cheng could still sense that there were many people surrounding the bar. Obviously, they had been hired by Qiang Wei to protect the bar. Seeing Yang Cheng, many of the elite members of Red Thorn Society who knew him bowed to greet him. Yang Cheng waved at them as a form of greeting. He entered the back corridor and came to the door of Qiang Wei's room. He asked the two bodyguards guarding the door, "Is your big sister sleeping inside?" The two bodyguards shook their heads. "Mr. Yang, we don't know if big sister is asleep or not." Yang Cheng thought that his brain wasn't working well. It would be weird if the two bodyguards were watching whether his woman was asleep or not. Therefore, he opened the door and walked into the room. After entering the fragrant bedroom, Yang Cheng raised his head and saw the scene on Qiang Wei's big bed. Suddenly, he felt all the blood in his body flowing to his brain. He gulped, and his mouth became dry. Chapter 396. On Qiang Wei's wide bed, the recent mattress was a dark coffee-colored bed sheet. It was also covered with a silky and smooth blanket that was similar to milk chocolate, so the entire color scheme was very flirtatious. At this moment, the two women's nightgowns were in a mess. One was white, and the other was light blue. Both of them had been tossed around by the playfulness before going to bed. From Yang Cheng's point of view, the two of them could clearly see their white thighs, as well as the strange color of temptation between their thighs. What was even more frightening was that Qiang Wei's head was actually stuffed into Mo Qianni's chest, while Mo Qianni slightly pouted and kissed Qiang Wei's hair. The two of them were entangled and hugged each other. They were completely different from their usual charming and moving appearance. Instead, they seemed much more cute and adorable, making them look even more comical. Although Yang Cheng's footsteps were light, he didn't try to hide it. Therefore, Qiang Wei, who was on the bed, still heard the noise and woke up in a daze. Moving her head away from Mo Qianni's full and soft chest, Qiang Wei wiped her beautiful eyes and blinked. She seemed to feel dry and uncomfortable, but she still smiled sweetly. "Hubby, why did you come back so late?" Qiang Wei wasn't worried about Yang Cheng's safety. It was just that the speed at which Yang Cheng finished his business was clearly much slower than before. Yang Cheng also wouldn't deliberately explain to his own woman what kind of perverts he had met, what kind of awesome person he had met, and what kind of guy he had met who was even more awesome than him. Yang Cheng knew about these things, and Qiang Wei didn't care too much. As long as he stood steadily in front of her, she wouldn't have any doubts. "I also feel very sorry that I came back so late. I didn't see how you two demonesses were tossing and turning on the bed." Yang Cheng walked to the side of the bed and sat down. He reached out and grabbed one of Qiang Wei's jade feet and pinched the soft and white soles of her feet, causing Qiang Wei to roll her eyes at him. "We didn't mess around." Qiang Wei thought of the nonsense she had said to Mo Qianni just now and did some strange things. How could she dare to tell Yang Cheng about it? She directly denied it and said, "I just accidentally fell asleep like this." Mo Qianni, who hadn't slept for long, also heard the noise and opened her eyes drowsily. Seeing that Yang Cheng was sitting by the bed and talking, she couldn't help but be overjoyed. She wasn't as brave as Rose. She was able to fall asleep mainly because Rose drew her attention away, and she was indeed tired. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to sleep the entire night. Now that she saw that Yang Cheng was fine, she was finally relieved. "So, is it more comfortable to sleep with Rose or me?" Yang Cheng winked at Mo Qianni. Mo Qianni's charming face turned red. She sat up and patted Yang Cheng's back. "What nonsense are you talking about? Qiang Wei and I were just tired. I didn't say anything about what you guys did. Why does it seem like something really happened?" Yang Cheng said with a smile. Mo Qianni suddenly realized that she had jumped into a trap. She immediately patted Yang Cheng a few more times in embarrassment. But in the end, she couldn't help but tear up. Yang Cheng and Qiang Wei were both shocked. What was going on? Why was she crying out of shyness? Yang Cheng smiled bitterly and shook his head. All right. Little Qian, I won't say that you slept with Qiang Wei anymore, okay? Don't cry." Mo Qianni didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She slapped Yang Cheng's thigh and said angrily, "Who's crying about this? I just feel that it's great that you're fine. Ever since I was young, I've never seen such a dangerous person. I've seen that kind of explosion before. I'm always scared when I'm by your side, and I don't have a chance to rest." Yang Cheng scratched his head awkwardly. "I don't want to either, but no buts. Although it's dangerous, if I really cared about this, I wouldn't have bitten you until now. Mo Chieni smiled and muttered, "Scoundrel. All right, hubby, you actually call Sister Chieni little Chan. Why don't you ever call me that?" Xiang Wei suddenly saw another problem. Yang Cheng was depressed. "You two have different names. That's not the problem. The key is the degree of intimacy. I've already called you hubby, so it's fine if you can't call me by that name. At the very least, you should be like Big Sister Chieni and call me that or something." Xiang Wei curled her lips. She was also a little embarrassed, but she still looked at Yang Cheng with anticipation. Yang Cheng thought for a moment and said, "Could it be Little Qiang? You're the Little Chong." Xiang Wei pouted and said, "Little Wei Wei." Mo Chieni, who was at the side, burst out laughing. She giggled and said, "Little Chong. Little Chong." Mo Chieni was embarrassed and annoyed. In the end, she glared at Yang Cheng as if she was looking at the culprit. "It's all your fault. What are you calling me for? You asked me to call you that. I used to call you sweetheart, didn't I?" Yang Cheng thought to himself, "Women are really hard to deal with. You still have to think clearly." Xiang Wei turned around angrily and said to Mo Chieni, who was laughing so hard that she was about to collapse, "Big Sister Chieni, if you laugh again, I'll play the game again." Mo Chieni was startled, as if she had thought of something horrible. She immediately restrained her laughter and looked at Yang Cheng pitifully. "Chong, Little Wei Wei, what game are you playing? Why are you so scared?" Yang Cheng asked curiously. Xiang Wei smiled proudly. "It's what you did to me. I pretended to be you, and Big Sister Chieni was me. I played it again." Yang Cheng was a little confused at first, but then he thought about it carefully and suddenly understood. She was playing a fake Phoenix game? Although Mo Chieni was in the fashion industry, she was a traditional Eastern woman. How could she accept being touched and kissed by a woman, and finally have to touch some of her private parts? Xiang Wei was a martial artist, and her physical strength and skills completely dominated Mo Chieni. Therefore, on the bed, Mo Chieni didn't even have a chance to resist. She was pressed under Xiang Wei and played with. Although she could feel something special, but psychologically, Mo Chieni couldn't bear being played by a woman, and a woman who was also a mistress. "Little Wei Wei, your Big Sister Chieni isn't as open as you. I think you should let her go next time," Yang Cheng said, trying hard to hold back his laughter. Xiang Wei, on the other hand, knew Yang Cheng's intentions. This guy couldn't wait to do it again and see the two of them having fun. "No way, from now on, Big Sister Chieni is my woman," Xiang Wei said complacently. Mo Chieni shrunk behind Yang Cheng. "Hubby, I want to learn martial arts too. I can't beat Xiang Wei. This isn't fair." Yang Cheng looked at Mo Chieni's sad face and grinned. "No need, don't you have me? Little Qian, since there's still a long time before dawn, why don't we take advantage of the fact that the three of us are here to properly study who is bullying who in bed?" As soon as these words were said, Xiang Wei and Mo Chieni both understood what Yang Cheng meant. This guy was really bold, directly opening his mouth to play that kind of thing that ordinary people would find difficult to speak of. The two women secretly looked at each other. Although the two of them had carefully dealt with each other's emotions, and because of some reason, they were more intimate, they were still mistresses, and, at the same time, they could be considered love rivals. The two of them had already thought about the matter of the two women serving the same husband before Yang Cheng came, but neither of them said anything. At this moment, it had become a key point. Yang Cheng noticed the complicated emotions in the eyes of the two women and thought to himself that he was too careless. These two were not the prostitutes he had met in the past. They did not exist purely for him to vent his emotions. If he wanted to play with them, he would need to challenge the moral and emotional bottom line of the two women. Yang Cheng hurriedly said, "I'm just joking. Don't take it too seriously. I think we should sleep." Xiang Wei and Mo Chieni looked at each other, and at the same time looked at Yang Cheng. "Hubby," actually, without waiting for Mo Chieni to finish speaking, Yang Cheng suddenly stood up. "You two sit here. Don't go out. I'm going out to meet someone," Yang Cheng suddenly said to the two women. After that, without waiting for the two to come back to their senses, Yang Cheng quickly flashed out of the room and went directly to the small courtyard outside Xiangwei's bedroom. With a jump, he jumped over the wall and came to the side of a small street outside. He saw a figure in the dark with his back facing Yang Cheng, and when Yang Cheng came behind him, he turned around. "Aries, didn't you say you were going to leave?" Yang Cheng's expression was somewhat solemn. Facing an opponent who was almost at the same level as him, Yang Cheng was surprised that Aries took the initiative to look for him again. Aries' expression was not good, and he said, "Although you may not believe it, I still have to tell you. I lost contact with my two subordinates. They took the God Stone from your hand, and now even the God Stone, I don't know where it is." Chapter 397. After listening to Aries' words, Yang Cheng's first thought was not suspicion, because if Aries had really taken the God Stone, he had no reason to fabricate such a lie. In fact, if he had really taken the God Stone and avoided me, I wouldn't have been able to find him. Although the Xiantian Qi could help me defeat Aries, it couldn't help me track him down. Moreover, Aries had always been a straightforward person. If he lost, then he lost. If he said he would give up, then he would definitely give up. "What's the specific situation?" Yang Cheng asked. Seeing that Yang Cheng didn't suspect him, Aries was stunned for a moment. Following that, the way he looked at Yang Cheng seemed to be much more pleasing to the eye. Only then did he tell the whole story. After being defeated by Yang Cheng just now, although Aries was a little unhappy, he wasn't too obsessed with the result. To him, being able to fight was the most worthwhile thing. Therefore, Aries fulfilled his promise and decided to call back his two subordinates from Yang Cheng's house. At the same time, he returned the God Stone to its original place. However, when Aries wanted to contact the two of them, he realized that the two of them had actually disappeared without a trace. In the parking lot of Yang Cheng's house, apart from the hole in the wall that was dug out, there was no other trace of them. The two of them seemed to have disappeared into thin air, along with the God Stone. Aries felt that something was not normal. Although he wasn't afraid of Yang Cheng, he was a straightforward person and felt that he needed to explain clearly. Therefore, he went to the bar and found Yang Cheng according to the information he had gathered. After listening to Aries, Yang Cheng immediately thought of the Holy Grail incident after the Liu family's banquet. At that time, Elder Mobses disappeared into thin air. No one present could understand it all, but he could clearly feel that someone had used the law of space to devour Mobses. At the same time, something that seemed to be divine power in the Holy Grail was taken away, turning the Holy Grail into an ordinary old cup. Could it be that unknown guy this time as well? However, the last time, the Holy Grail had only been stripped of the power within it. This time, the God Stone had been taken away. This meant that the other party's intentions were different. Aries saw that Yang Cheng was deep in thought and said, "If you know who did it and need my help, I will be happy to help you find the God Stone." "No need, you won't be able to find it," Yang Cheng said. Aries frowned. "Are you planning to give up on the God Stone? There's nothing we can do about it. The other party is someone who understands the laws of space. Just like how I can't find you, we can't find him either." Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. Aries was shocked, and then his face darkened. "Which shameless guy came to mess things up?" "It's not someone I know," Yang Cheng said. "It shouldn't be these people who have woken up." After listening to Yang Cheng recount the incident with the Holy Grail, Aries came to a realization. He frowned and said, "Although other than the 12 core gods who have the ability to reincarnate, it is said that the other gods have all disappeared. But we can't rule out the possibility that some of the more powerful gods are still living in some corner of the world. However, I can understand snatching the God Stone, but why would they snatch that broken cup?" Yang Cheng shook his head. He was also puzzled as to why they would snatch the Holy Grail. It was meaningless to someone who had mastered the laws of space. "If that's the case, I will help you investigate this matter," Aries said. "Anyone who dares to snatch a piece of meat from my hands will definitely not let him have it easy." Of course, Yang Cheng didn't have any objections. It was good to have free labor to help him investigate. After Aries really left, Yang Cheng shook his head. Although the God Stone was important, it wasn't enough to make him lose his appetite. Especially tonight, after meeting that completely unfathomable Ling Suzi, Yang Cheng knew that there was still a limit to the power he could come into contact with. When he returned to Qiang Wei's room, the two girls looked at him worriedly. Yang Cheng smiled relaxedly. "It's fine now. Just now, a guy came to look for me in the middle of the night. I went out to meet him." Qiang Wei and Mo Qinyi both knew that Yang Cheng wasn't willing to talk about some things, so they didn't pursue the matter. Qiang Wei suddenly said, "Hubby, I'm going to move." Yang Cheng was stunned. "What move?" "I'm leaving this place. I'm going to move back to the old house. It's bigger there," Qiang Wei said. The old house that Qiang Wei mentioned was, in fact, the house that Situ Mingze used to live in. Ever since Situ Mingze was sent abroad, the house fell into Qiang Wei's hands. It was just that Qiang Wei had never moved there. Yang Cheng thought for a moment, then looked at Mo Qinyi, who was a bit hesitant, and said with a smile, "What? Do you want to play cohabitation with Qinyi?" Qiang Wei nodded. "Yes. Sister Qinyi's house was destroyed, right? It just so happens that I don't want to stay here all the time. The old house is empty, and it's too cold to live alone. If Sister Qinyi lives with me in the future, I think we'll have a good time." Yang Cheng didn't have any objections. For him, this way, he wouldn't have to run around in the future. However, with Mo Qinyi's strong personality, it was a problem whether she would be willing to live in Qiang Wei's house or not. Qiang Wei also seemed to see Mo Qinyi's hesitation. She smiled and said, "Sister Qinyi, you'll be responsible for the daily expenses of the house in the future. It's equivalent to you renting a house. Is that okay?" Mo Qinyi felt that it wouldn't be appropriate to refuse again. She nodded and looked at Yang Cheng bitterly. That bad guy has it easy. Yang Cheng's thoughts were seen through, but he didn't feel embarrassed. He smiled and said, "You can listen to Qiang Wei on this matter. I think the two of you will get along well together. I have to go back to take care of some matters. You can continue sleeping. It's still early." Hearing that Yang Cheng was going to leave again, Mo Qinyi and Qiang Wei were extremely surprised. They thought that Yang Cheng would immediately bring up that embarrassing matter again when he heard that they were going to live together. Yang Cheng didn't want to let go of the 2 white rabbits that were delivered to his mouth. However, after hearing Ari's words, he felt that he had to go home to see if there were any traces left and if the scene had been cleaned up. It wouldn't be good if something scared the women at home. In less than half an hour, Yang Cheng returned to the villa in Dragon Garden. While in the car, Yang Cheng had already asked Mullen about the situation of the Sea Eagles. 4 members were lost, and the others were only lightly injured. This situation was much better than Yang Cheng had imagined. After all, the other party was a warrior who didn't fear death after the biochemical experiment. The lawn outside the villa had been cleaned up. Yang Cheng went to the underground parking lot and put back the stones that had been dug up. Everything looked the same as before, but the god stone was indeed gone. There were no traces of the scene that could be traced at all. Yang Cheng sighed softly. He knew that there was no way he could investigate. He could only take it one step at a time. The next day, Yang Cheng went down to the dining room from the 2nd floor to have breakfast. Beside the dining table, Lin Ruoshi, who was dressed in standard office attire, had already finished eating and stood up. Looking at Lin Ruoshi's meticulous black hair that was tied up in a high bun, she was cold and expressionless. Yang Cheng felt guilty and couldn't help but ask, "Babe Ruoshi, why are you dressed like this? Are you going to work?" Lin Ruoshi completely ignored him as if she didn't hear anything. She picked up her bag from the sofa and was about to go out. At this time, Guo Xiuhua, who came out of the kitchen with millet porridge, suddenly laughed and said, "Oh, Ruoshi said that it's New Year and she needs to choose 2 decent new clothes for you as her husband, so she has to go out today. Isn't that right, Ruoshi?" Lin Ruoshi was already at the door. When she heard Guo Xiuhua's words, she stopped in her tracks. There was a slight struggle on her cold and elegant face. In the end, she bit her thin lips, turned her head, and responded. Yang Cheng wasn't a fool. Lin Ruoshi's behavior just now meant that she didn't want to stay at home, so she chose to work at the company. It was obvious that Guo Xiuhua saw that the two of them were in a deadlock and Lin Ruoshi was ignoring her, so she deliberately gave him a way out. She was also indirectly asking Lin Ruoshi not to be too cold. Although Yang Cheng was grateful for Guo Xiuhua's protection of him, He couldn't help but feel that this was a little too cruel to Lin Ruashi. Could it be that there was already a conflict between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law at home? After Lin Ruashi agreed to Guo Shuihua's request, she continued to walk out the door silently. Based on her personality, even if she was really wronged, she naturally wouldn't show it. Yang Chung sat down and drank a few mouthfuls of porridge. He pondered for a while and said to Guo Shuihua, who was peeling a tea egg for him, "In the future, don't treat Ruashi like this. It's my fault. It's only right for her to be angry." Guo Shuihua was stunned for a moment. She said in a slightly mournful tone, "Is Mom being a busybody? Mom knows that I'm not a good role model. I've never fulfilled my duties as a mother and mother-in-law to you and Ruashi. Mom doesn't mean anything by it, but I can't help it. I feel that Ruashi is always giving you a hard time. They've been married for half a year, but she still doesn't let us share a room. It's a little too much. Sigh, I also know that she's a good child. I even had a good talk with her a few days ago, but I don't want to see you suffer. Every time I think about the hard days you've lived in the past, I can't bear to see anyone treat you coldly. Not even a daughter-in-law." Yang Chung looked at Guo Shuihua with a complicated expression. He shook his head and said, "There's nothing for me to feel wronged about. Our matter is a little special. Anyway, let us handle our own matters in the future." After saying that, Yang Chung stood up, took a coat, and prepared to go out. Guo Shuihua was stunned. "Yang Chung, why are you going out too? You've only eaten half of your breakfast." "I'm going to the company. It's already New Year's. We can't just eat New Year's Eve dinner with a sour face." Yang Chung shrugged. "Even if I have to kneel on a washboard, I have to invite that cold-faced Guanyin back." Chapter 398. Not long after driving from home, Yang Chung found that the gas indicator light of his BMW was on. He drove the car to a nearby gas station to fill up the gas. When he paid the staff, Yang Chung suddenly thought that the money he spent, the car he was sitting on, and the house he came out of, all of these were actually Lin Ruashi's things. "At first, I married this woman unwillingly because of the contract. I thought that I was just hired, so I didn't care too much. But now, I already plan to walk the road with this woman in the future. It didn't seem very good to use other people's things." It wasn't that Yang Chung felt embarrassed. Yang Chung wasn't afraid of others saying that he was living off a woman. His face had long been thick enough to not care about those things. "However, even if I don't mind, what about Lin Ruashi? She has always wanted me to be outstanding. Isn't it because I don't work hard enough? Although recently, because some of my true colors were revealed, Lin Ruashi no longer urged me to work like before, but if others knew about our relationship, they would inevitably have some thoughts." Realizing that he had been kept, Yang Chung didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Although I didn't mean it, not only did I have to live and eat with Lin Ruashi, but I also always made her angry for me. I really let her down. Why don't I discuss with the old guy, Ron, and get a few good things for my wife to be happy?" Yang Chung thought while driving, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt that some material things weren't very interesting. Lin Ruashi wasn't short of money. Although she wasn't one of the richest people in the world, she couldn't spend it all in a few lifetimes. Instead of giving her some strange treasures that weren't of much use, it was better to do something to make her feel more comfortable, such as making some achievements in her work, such as not staying up all night without calling her. Yang Cheng's mind was in a mess. He drove to the headquarters of Yulei with guilt in his heart. Because it was the eve of the Spring Festival, there weren't many people on duty in the building. Yang Cheng walked all the way to the top floor of the building, but he didn't meet anyone he knew. He walked all the way to Lin Ruashi's CEO office and knocked on the door, but there was no response. "Old General Lin, it's me, Yang Cheng." "Open the door," Yang Cheng shouted with a smile. There was still no movement inside. Yang Cheng frowned and was about to open the door when he heard footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw a man and a woman walking over, talking and laughing. The woman was Lin Ruashi's assistant, Wu Yu, whom Yang Cheng jokingly called Airport. The other man seemed to have seen him a few times, but Yang Cheng couldn't remember who he was. He looked to be around 35 or 36 years old, but he had a handsome face and a bit of elegance, making it hard for people to dislike him. "Why are you here?" Wu Yu saw Yang Cheng and looked at him cautiously, as if Yang Cheng was here to steal something. Yang Cheng was depressed. If you guys can be here, why can't I be here? Sneaky. I thought that when the CEO let you be the director, you would look like a higher-up. Why do you still look like an annoying hooligan? Wu Yu said disdainfully. Who is this? The elegant middle-aged man looked at Yang Cheng curiously, then asked Wu Yu amiably. Wu Yu, the tomboyish woman, actually blushed, which was rare for Yang Cheng. It was like a 10,000-year miracle, and it almost stunned Yang Cheng. This person is the new director of the entertainment company, Yang Cheng. He's not a good person, Wu Yu said softly. The man stared blankly for a moment, then smiled at Yang Cheng like a cool breeze. Hello. I've long heard that Boss Lin has Department Head Mo and Director Lin as his subordinates. I've met Department Head Mo many times before, but this is the first time I've seen the elusive Boss Lin. It's an honor to meet you. Yang Cheng shook hands with him and frowned slightly. Why are you saying so much flattery? Who are you? You have no manners at all. Wu Yu said unhappily. This is the new vice president of our company appointed by Muyun Corporation, Mr. Li Mingyi. Yang Cheng suddenly realized that he had bumped into Lin Ruoshi at the company previously. Didn't she say that she was going to receive the new vice president sent by Muyun Corporation? She seemed to be the special contact person in charge of the new material market. He didn't expect her to be so young, and not an old man in his 50s like he had imagined. Looking at the smug Wu Yu and the polite Li Mingyi, Yang Cheng understood, but he was too lazy to say anything. He continued to open the door to the president's office. Hey, what are you doing? Who allowed you to go in by yourself? Wu Yu quickly blocked in front of Yang Cheng, like a cow protecting her calf. I'm looking for General Lin. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. Yang Cheng curled his lips. Wu Yu frowned. General Lin went to the Yusong building to inspect the work. If you want to look for him, go there. Do you think the president's office is somewhere you can enter as you please? Yusong building? Yang Cheng was stunned. He knew that building. It was also a luxury department store under Yulei. The reason why it was called Yusong was that it also sold all kinds of high-end jade wares. Many jades from Myanmar that were worth tens of millions were also traded and exhibited there. You're not lying to me? Then why did you come here? Yang Cheng looked at Wu Yu suspiciously. Wu Yu widened her eyes and said angrily, Why would I lie to you? Although I hate you, I'm not in the mood to lie to you. General Lin came to the company just now and asked me about the sales at the end of the year. Is it strange that she wants to inspect it personally? Li Mingyi followed up. That's right, didn't lie to you. Director Yang, General Lin did go to the Yusong building. I saw her just now. The end of the year is an important sales season for many companies, and Yulei is no exception. It's normal for a responsible leader, like General Lin, to inspect it personally. Yang Cheng wondered if he should give Lin Ruoshi a call, but after thinking about it, he didn't know what to say to her. So he stood outside the door and carefully sensed the situation in the office. Indeed, there was no one inside. Only then did he believe that the two of them didn't lie to him. On second thought, Yang Cheng asked again, Why do you want to go in? Didn't you say that General Lin isn't inside? Wu Yu coldly snorted and said, Vice President Li wants to look up some information. General Lin agreed and specially asked me to bring him in. Yang Cheng smiled slyly and said, It's a holiday, and you're a competent assistant. You came to the company to accompany the vice president to look up information. Don't be too tired. It's bad for your body. Looking at Yang Cheng's mischievous smile, Wu Yu was a little confused. Li Mingyi was clearly an experienced person, but he didn't say much and just smiled amiably. Yang Cheng didn't pay them any more attention and directly left to go downstairs. As he drove to Yusong building, all sorts of department stores on the roadside were holding some promotional activities. The noisy crowd and lively traffic made Yang Cheng feel the New Year atmosphere, but he also felt a little anxious. What if Lin Ruoshi changed locations to inspect the building when he arrived? After a terrible traffic jam, it was almost noon when Yang Cheng finally arrived outside Yusong building. Following the directions to the underground parking lot, Yang Cheng let out a long sigh. In the past, when had he ever seen such a scene of a sea of people filling the city? Even in New York and the United States, there were often no cars on the roads. There weren't many cars in Yusong Building's parking lot. After all, the number of people who could come here was limited. In a huge parking lot, there were only 100 or so luxury cars. Just as Yang Cheng found a parking space to get out, he saw a red Bentley parked 2 spaces away. Isn't that Lin Ruoshi's car? It looks like she hasn't left yet. Yang Cheng looked around and was about to walk to the elevator when someone happened to come out of the elevator. The person who came out was Lin Ruoshi, whom he was looking for. She was wearing the business suit she wore when she left in the morning. Lin Ruoshi's originally neat and beautiful hair was a little messy, and her forehead was covered in a thin layer of sweat. Her beautiful face was flushed red, as if she had expended a lot of energy. Looking at her hands, she was carrying 5 or 6 large paper bags. She must have walked a lot with the bags. Lin Ruoshi walked out of the elevator and was about to walk back to her car when she saw Yang Cheng suddenly appear in front of her. He was staring at her with an unfathomable smile. How could Yang Cheng not laugh? Lin Ruoshi's hands were full of men's clothes from Givenchy, Versace, and Burberry. If an ordinary person bought these clothes, they would probably feel pain for a long time. Why would she carry them around like she was carrying a grocery basket? Only a woman like Lin Ruoshi, who didn't regard luxury goods as luxury goods, would casually grab a few bags. Originally, Guo had said it casually in the morning. She didn't expect Lin Ruoshi to really buy new clothes for her for the new year. This made Yang Cheng's heart warm up. When he looked at Lin Ruoshi's pink and tender face again, she looked even cuter. Lin Ruoshi immediately shivered and hid the things in her hands. However, there were too many bags and they were too big. How could she hide them all? She immediately lowered her head shyly and hurried back to the car. Why are you hiding? Aren't you just helping me buy clothes? Yang Cheng said with a smile as he walked forward. Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth and silently opened the car trunk. She stuffed the bags inside. I went to the company to look for you. You said that you came for an inspection. I didn't expect that my baby Ruoshi was here to buy clothes for your husband. Ayaya, I thought you were angry. I didn't expect you to listen to your mother-in-law and buy clothes. Why don't you give me a hug as a reward? Yang Cheng said jokingly. Lin Ruoshi immediately dodged to the side. Because it took a lot of effort to walk, she was a little out of breath. However, she still stared coldly at Yang Cheng and said, You dare to come up and try. Yang Cheng's movement suddenly stiffened. Shan Shan smiled and said, No, I just want to thank you. You see, my food, clothes, and shelter are all yours. I still need you to help me prepare new clothes for the new year. Isn't this touching? I want to do something for you. Lin Ruoshi sneered as if she had heard something funny. Touched? Thank. As long as you don't gang up on me, I will be grateful. Chapter 399. After hearing Lin Ruoshi's words, Yang Cheng once again realized one thing. The conflict between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was gradually arising. He sighed in his heart that he actually had to face such a family ethics drama one day, but he actually felt a bit satisfied. He smiled and said, Don't say that. I won't, and I can't bear to bully you. She is my mother, and also your mother. She just doesn't like the way we get along. It's not directed at you. I can judge for myself. I don't need you to explain it to me. Lin Ruoshi said coldly and was about to get into the car. Yang Cheng blocked her in a flash. Don't be in such a hurry. Leave the car here first. It's already noon. How about we go for lunch together? Go eat by yourself. Lin Ruoshi didn't buy it. Yang Cheng revealed a distressed expression. Clicking his tongue, he said, Wifey, if you don't go for lunch with me, I'll really carry you. Carrying you out for lunch and being seen by people on the streets. It doesn't seem like a bad choice. How can you be like this? Lin Ruoshi was shocked and hurriedly took 2 steps back. Yang Cheng spread out his hands. From the day you met me, didn't you say that I was a scoundrel? You just said that you won't bully me, and you bully me again. Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth and said. Yang Cheng chuckled and said, How is this bullying? Aren't we eating together for your health? You've been shopping for a long time to help me pick out clothes. What if you're hungry? As he spoke, Yang Cheng moved closer to Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi had no choice. She was really afraid that this thick-skinned guy would forcefully carry her out, so she could only agree and said, "I'll go with you. Don't come near me." Yang Chung grinned. "Wouldn't it have been over if I had agreed earlier? Why do I have to win people by virtue and show off the bearing of the only man in the family?" Lin Ruashi pretended not to hear anything. She suspected that if she was serious, this man would anger her to death. The two of them walked straight out of Yusong Building. They didn't drive. After all, parking was a problem if they drove to eat at this hour. Yang Chung walked in front, and Lin Ruashi followed behind. Her head was half lowered, and she looked reluctant but helpless. Yang Chung looked at the woman who looked like a little bully, but he was not unhappy. Compared to the time when they first met, Lin Ruashi was always cold and expressionless. Now, although Lin Ruashi was still different from ordinary people, at least in front of him, she was much more expressive. Suddenly, Yang Chung stopped in the middle of the road. Lin Ruashi did not react in time. She walked with her head lowered and bumped into Yang Cheng's broad back. "Ah!" Lin Ruashi touched her forehead in embarrassment and looked up with grievance. She didn't know whether to be angry or not. She looked at Yang Chung with a conflicted expression. "This man is bullying me again." However, Yang Chung smiled. "Baby, don't walk with your head down like that. You'll bump into a telephone pole. Come, walk with me." Without waiting for Lin Ruashi to react, Yang Chung retreated and grabbed one of her slender hands. Lin Ruashi felt her hand being grabbed by a large hand, but it was difficult for her to break free. Her face blushed, and she wanted Yang Chung to let go. But there were so many people on the street that it would be too eye-catching. Yang Chen didn't give her much time to think. He pulled her along and walked forward side by side, just like most couples on the street. However, Lin Ruashi's shy look was too beautiful and charming. The people on the street might not turn their heads 100%, but 90% was stable. Fortunately, Yang Chung was thick-skinned, and Lin Ruashi was so nervous that she didn't have the time to care about other people's eyes. Just like that, she was held by Yang Chung in a daze. After walking for more than 10 minutes, Yang Chung stopped again. Lin Ruashi raised her head. At this moment, she had already calmed down and was immersed in an inexplicable state of mind. She asked naturally, "What's wrong?" Yang Chung pointed to a lively shop by the side of the road. "Let's eat here." Lin Ruashi took a look and saw that it was a clean and tidy dumpling shop in the northeast. It wasn't that Yang Chung did not eat enough dumplings at Mo Chinny's house, but it was because the dumpling shop was holding an event that attracted a lot of attention. Lin Ruashi immediately realized the reason why there were so many people. Outside the dumpling shop, there was a large wooden board with a poster on it that wrote "Spring Festival Dumpling King Battle" in exaggerated words. The specific content was that if anyone could eat 88 dumplings in 10 minutes, the dumplings would be free, and a table of dumplings would be given for free. In addition, there would be a limited edition dumpling doll customized by the dumpling shop. A round dumpling doll instantly killed a lot of women. If anyone participated and failed, not only would they have to pay for 88 dumplings, they would also lose any participation prize. Such an event seemed like a lot of people could do it if they work hard. But if they really participated, they would realize that being the king of appetite was not that easy. The dumplings were filled with meat fillings, and they were huge. An ordinary burly man would not be able to stand eating 40 to 50 dumplings, let alone in the South. Southerners were naturally shorter in stature, and their appetite was naturally not as good as most Northerners. If they really ate it, they would probably be stuffed to death within half. However, there was always a challenge, and there were always things that could pique the interest of many people. Moreover, 88 dumplings were not expensive. So many people try to eat them. There were also some men who liked the dumpling doll because their girlfriends or wives liked it. They felt that it was extremely cute and wanted to win it for their women to please them. In an instant, the number of people watching the show was many times more than the number of people participating in the event. Lin Ruashi also noticed the dumpling doll on the display. It was round and indeed very cute, but then she suddenly turned her head and looked at the excited Yang Chung. You can't be thinking of wife. Wait for me." I'll bring you the prize and also settle your lunch," Yang Chung said cheerfully. Lin Ruoshi hurriedly shook her head. "Are you crazy? Eating 88 dumplings is enough to make a person stuffed to death. I can do it. Don't think that I'm not as big as those burly men. I can eat 100 of them without a problem," Yang Chung said. Lin Ruoshi still wanted to say something, but Yang Chung had already pulled her to the counter and said to the staff, "I want to register. What should I do?" The staff was a young man with oily hair and a powdered face. When he saw Yang Chung, he thought that he was a migrant worker. But then he saw that Yang Chung was holding Lin Ruoshi's hand, and he felt a burst of jealousy in his heart. He smiled stiffly and said, "Sir, you have to show your identity first, then sign a letter of guarantee and disclaimer. After that, you can participate in our event." Yang Chung did not care much. He took out his identity card and took the papers. After signing them, he walked to the dumpling area and sat down. Lin Ruoshi had no choice but to follow behind Yang Chung. But she could not avoid being stared at by everyone. She could only endure the discomfort and pretend that she did not see anything. She cursed Yang Chung in her heart. What kind of jealous idea was this? Why did he have to take advantage of this inconvenience? It was not like he did not have money to eat. The waiter began to serve the first plate of dumplings to Yang Chung. The large plate was filled with large dumplings. There were a total of 22 dumplings. Many female customers were full just looking at them. Yang Chung did not say anything. He picked up his chopsticks and picked up the dumplings. He was too lazy to dip them in vinegar, and directly he sent them into his mouth. Lin Ruoshi frowned and could not help but say from behind, "Eat slowly. Don't choke. If you dip them in vinegar, you'll have indigestion. Hey, why don't you bite and swallow them all?" Yang Chung pouted and chewed in big mouthfuls. He said vaguely, "Why are they all stuffed with cabbage and pork? Give me some leek and celery fillings." Yang Cheng's words caused a burst of laughter. The waitress at the side smiled strangely. "I'm sorry, sir. Our standard dumplings for the competition are cabbage and pork fillings." Lin Ruoshi's face was full of black lines. This guy actually had the mood to consider what fillings to eat. He had only eaten half of the first plate. After a while, Yang Chung finished the first plate. There were still 8 minutes left. The waiter brought over the second plate. It was still 22 dumplings. Yang Chung continued to eat in big mouthfuls without stopping. Lin Ruoshi looked at him and lost her appetite. "If you can't eat it, don't force yourself." Yang Chung waved his hand, indicating that there was no problem. The second plate was eaten even faster than the first plate. He finished it in a minute and a half. This time, not only was the waiter surprised, but the onlookers also focused their attention on Yang Chung. They were not just looking at the beauty. "The third plate, sir." The waitress was covered in cold sweat. She wanted to say, "Enjoy your meal," but that didn't seem right. It was even more wrong to say, "Eat quickly." On the contrary, Yang Chung was very relaxed. He had a big appetite, and now he could control his true qi to the point of meticulous. The dumplings that he ate would be constantly ground by the true qi in his body and would soon be digested. Although it took up space in his stomach, it was much easier than ordinary people. After finishing the third plate, Yang Chung burped. He felt that his stomach was 3/4 full. He could still continue to eat, but eating too much cabbage and pork fillings made him uncomfortable. Lin Ruoshi saw that Yang Cheng's expression was not natural. She couldn't help but feel a little distressed. After all, he was the man she regarded as her husband. Although he always made her angry, she still cared about him. She tried to dissuade him. "Don't eat anymore. Your face is a little pale." Yang Chung shook his head and forced a smile. "There is still 1 plate left." Chapter 400. Many onlookers saw Yang Chung eat 66 dumplings and started cheering for Yang Chung. When the 4th plate was served, Yang Chung took a deep breath and started to gulp down the dumplings again. In the last 30 seconds, Yang Chung forcefully swallowed 88 dumplings, which made the waiters and the dumpling shop owner dumbfounded. Yang Chung took a napkin and wiped his mouth. It's not time yet. I'm done." The onlookers cheered, and the dumpling shop owner did not know whether to laugh or cry. This was originally a trick to attract customers, but he did not expect someone to eat 88 dumplings. but he had to fulfill his promise. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive in Zhonghai anymore. The dumpling shop owner personally handed the dumpling doll to Yang Cheng. The plump doll with white dumplings and pink cheeks made many girls cry out in admiration. The boss immediately ordered the kitchen to prepare a table of dumplings. There were 16 different types of dumplings. "Excuse me, are you two treating your friends?" the dumpling shop owner asked. Yang Cheng shook his head. "It's just me and my wife." The boss knew what Dong Shuebing meant, but he still brought the two to a large table in the private room. After all, a table of dumplings could not be placed on a small table. Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng rubbing his stomach as he walked. She was annoyed and amused at the same time. She thought to herself that this man was one of a kind. Why did he always do such frightening things? When they entered the private room, Yang Chun passed the cute dumpling plushie to Lin Ruoshi with both hands. Smiling brightly, he said, "Here, a New Year's present. I finally won it." Lin Ruoshi was stunned. She widened her eyes and suddenly realized that Yang Cheng participated in this crazy eating competition to win this doll as her New Year's gift. Yang Cheng smiled awkwardly. "I was just thinking about what kind of gift to give you. I live in your house, eat your food, drive your car, and even my salary is paid by you. You're the one who gave me new clothes to wear during the new year. I want to give you a gift. Even if I spend money to buy it, I will be using your money to buy it for you. That's not even a gift for me. This dumpling doll is not bad. I know you will definitely like it. This meal is free, so it doesn't count as your money. Just treat it as a New Year's gift to my dear Ruoshi." Looking at Yang Cheng's hand that was still rubbing his bulging belly, and hearing Yang Cheng's strange remarks, Lin Ruoshi suddenly felt a little sour in her nose. "Are you a fool?" "Huh?" Yang Cheng was stunned, wondering if he had misheard. "I say," Lin Ruoshi took the cute doll from Yang Cheng's hand and played with it with her head down. "I say, you're a fool, right? Other than a fool, who would think of such a way to give someone a gift?" Yang Cheng smiled embarrassedly. "I can't help it. If I'm a fool, then I'm a fool. As long as you like this little thing, it's fine." Lin Ruoshi looked at the smiling dumpling doll in her hand. Her heart was in a mess. In the end, she nodded. "I like it very much. Hee hee. Your hubby is still very amazing. Look at those girls outside. They want it, but their boyfriends can't even eat 88 dumplings. This is the time to show my advantage," Yang Cheng said proudly. Lin Ruoshi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her eyes were originally red, but at this moment, her tears couldn't fall. After the two sat down, the room was quiet for a while. Lin Ruoshi pinched the doll in her hand and suddenly said in a faint voice, "In the past, Grandma would always give me a gift during the new year. Sometimes it was a toy, sometimes it was a book, sometimes it was a delicious snack. But no matter what it was, I just felt happy. There was nothing special about it. Anyway, in our family, we just bought whatever we wanted. Later, Grandma and Mom passed away, and no one gave me a gift during the new year. At that time, I realized that not everything can be bought with money." Yang Cheng said with a smile, "Don't you have me? I'll come back next year to eat and give you another one. Just now, there was a pink one on the counter. Yours is only white. Next time, I'll help you in a pair." "You," Lin Ruoshi smiled sweetly like a blooming jasmine. "You're just like a child. Don't do such a silly thing next time. Although you can eat a lot, it's very uncomfortable." "Is this considered a wife's concern for her husband?" Yang Cheng blinked and asked. Lin Ruoshi pouted and didn't say anything. After a while, the dazzling array of dumplings was served. Looking at the table full of dumplings, Lin Ruoshi frowned and said, "I can't even finish one plate. What should I do with these?" Yang Cheng casually ate 2 crab dumplings and felt that he had lost his appetite. He smiled and said, "You eat some while it's hot. Take the rest home. Anyway, these dumplings have good dough. We can heat them up and eat them." Half an hour later, Yang Cheng carried 2 big bags of packed dumplings out of the shop. Lin Ruoshi hugged the dumpling doll and followed by his side. The two returned to the parking lot together. In the parking lot, Lin Ruoshi suddenly asked, "Can you accompany me to a place?" Yang Cheng was stunned. "Where?" Lin Ruoshi showed a bit of sadness. "I suddenly want to see Grandma and Mom. Come with me." Yang Chung understood. These days, there was a younger sister at home, and Yang Chung found a mother-in-law. Today, after a few years, he received a New Year's gift. Lin Ruoshi's originally frozen heart gradually began to miss the past. It was reasonable for her to think of her grandmother and mother. Actually, we should have gone to see Grandma and Mom long ago. Although we only sweep the graves during the Qingming festival, we're married. We should at least go and tell them. Yang Chung said. Lin Ruoshi smiled and took the initiative to sit in Yang Cheng's car. She said, "Leave my car here. I'll send someone to drive it home." Yang Chung nodded. After getting in the car, he followed Lin Ruoshi's instructions and drove all the way out of the city to a high-end mausoleum area in the western suburbs. After nearly 40 minutes, the car drove into a hillside area surrounded by green pines and cypresses. The road was quiet, and occasionally some fat squirrels jumped over, making the road a bit more lively. Yang Chung parked the car on the flat ground at the foot of the hill. The cemetery was halfway up the hill, so they needed to walk up. After they got out of the car, Yang Chung slapped his thigh. "Oh no, I forgot to bring gift for Mom and Mom. I didn't even bring paper money." Lin Ruoshi was a little sad in her heart, but at this moment, the haze was swept away. She rolled her eyes at Yang Chung. "Don't worry. I've burned a lot during the Qingming festival this year." That's good. I don't know if Mom and Mom have eaten dumplings," Yang Chung said with a smile. Lin Ruoshi held back her laughter and ignored Yang Cheng's funny words. In fact, she also knew that she was in a bad mood along the way, and Yang Chung was deliberately making her happy. Just as they were about to go up the hill along the winding path, Yang Chung saw a black Audi A8 slowly leaving the cemetery not far away. Seeing the car, Yang Chung slightly frowned and then followed Lin Ruoshi to the hillside. After walking for more than 10 minutes, Lin Ruoshi was struggling to catch her breath. The two finally arrived at the cemetery of Lin Ruoshi's grandmother and mother. The cemetery was very clean. It must have been cleaned often. It was also very simple. Other than the tombstone, there were two great Luohan pines blocking the light. However, what caught their attention was that in front of Lin Ruoshi's mother's tombstone, there was a fresh bouquet of flowers. It was a rare Chinese redbud flower. It should be a species from Lingnan because its petals were especially big. It seems that someone came to visit Mom before. Lin Ruoshi was also startled for a moment. Yang Chung looked at Lin Ruoshi's mother's tombstone. There was a small portrait of Xue Zijing on it. Although it was exposed to the wind and the sun, it could still be seen clearly. Mother-in-law is called Xue Zijing. Zijing. Redbud, it does sound like it. Lin Ruoshi bent down and touched the petals of the Chinese redbud flower with her fingers. When my mother was alive, she liked the Chinese redbud flower the most. This kind of Chinese redbud flower is also her favorite species. It might be one of her good friends. I've seen it once during the Qingming festival, but I don't know who sent it. Yang Chung looked at the photo of Xue Zijing on the tombstone and said with a smile, "You do look like mother-in-law, but you're even more beautiful than mother-in-law." Lin Ruoshi's face turned slightly red. She was quite happy to be praised so directly, but she still glared at Yang Chung. "Don't be serious in front of my mother." Yang Chung smiled embarrassedly. That's right. How could he tease his wife in front of his mother-in-law? After standing in front of Xue Zijing's grave for a while, Lin Ruoshi went to the tombstone of her most affectionate grandmother. It was also the first time Yang Chung saw the old CEO's appearance. Lin Ruoshi had a good relationship with her grandmother. Standing in front of the tombstone, she said to Yang Chung, "Yang Chung, can you stay away for a while? I want to talk to Grandma." Yang Chung nodded, bowed in front of the tombstone, and walked away. After a long time, Lin Ruoshi, who was standing in front of the tombstone, stretched out her hand and stroked the tombstone. A sweet and sour smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "Grandma, it's New Year. I didn't come to see you in the past. You know, every time I come here, I cry. You said that girls who cry are ugly, but this year I must come. I'm married. I have to tell you and Mom before New Year's Eve that I'm like a scoundrel. His name is Yang Chung. Grandma, I'm in a complicated mood now. It turns out that there are so many things to do after getting married. It turns out that getting along with a man can be so strange. Grandma, my heart is my own. But now I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't see myself clearly. I think that Yang Chung is really annoying. I don't like him. He calls me Yang Chung all day long. He doesn't do his work well and always runs outside. He's with another woman in front of me. He doesn't go home at night and spends the night with another woman. Now that he has found his mother, he suddenly has a mother-in-law who treats me badly. Today, they even teamed up to bully me. He always does what he wants and does what he wants. He often does all kinds of things that make me angry and scare me. Also, he always forgets what he promised me. He doesn't go home and doesn't call me. Every time, he makes me wait for him stupidly. But because of him, I feel so happy, but also because of him, I feel very sad. Grandma, am I very strange? The cold mountain wind blew over the hill. Lin Ruashi narrated as if she was talking to herself. Her voice drifted in the air and disappeared. Yang Chun stood at the corner of the hill and looked at the silhouette standing in front of the tombstone. He suddenly felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. Silly woman, what if one day all of your beliefs turn into bubbles? What if one day all of your hopes turn into a mirage? Will you be able to bear it? Yang Chung turned his head and looked in the direction where the Audi had just left. His eyes were deep as he muttered to himself. Chapter 401. By the time Lin Ruashi finished talking and was ready to go down the hill, more than half an hour had passed. Yang Chung did not feel anything, but Lin Ruashi's nose and cheeks were red from the mountain breeze. When they were going down the hill, Yang Chung took off his coat and put it on Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi tried to decline, but she could not push Yang Chung away. She felt warm in her heart, but she still said faintly, "You don't have to do this. It's just a short walk. It's fine. It'll be too late if you catch a cold. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. If you catch a cold or fever, it'll be bad luck." Yang Chung said. The two of them went down the hill and walked back to the car. Lin Ruashi suddenly thought of something and asked, "You said that Jinxiu has started to repeat her studies?" "Yes." Yang Chung was surprised that Lin Ruashi would ask about this. Lin Ruashi asked again, "Is she still living alone?" Yang Chung suddenly understood. "You want to bring Jinxiu home for New Year's?" Lin Ruashi hesitated for a moment and nodded. "If she is willing. I think it'll be too sad for her to spend New Year's alone. We can bring her to our house. It'll be more lively with one more person. Although it's New Year's tomorrow, we can help out with cooking and preparations. I think she'll like it. You're really like Jinxiu's sister. You always think of her." Yang Chung joked. Lin Ruashi shook her head. "You don't understand. Jinxiu is a memory of my grandmother. When I first met her, she was still a little girl with pigtails. I don't have any siblings. To me, she's a little sister that I watched grow up with. I have some special feelings for her. I'm not against it. Why do you need to explain?" Yang Chung smiled and started the car. Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at him. She took off Yang Cheng's coat and folded it on the back seat. When Yang Chung drove to Jinxiu's rental house, he saw Jinxiu carrying a big cardboard box upstairs. Jinxiu was wearing a light orange coat that looked a little old. Her hair was tied up in a simple ponytail, and there were some black and gray stains on her pretty face that still looked a little childish. Even though it was a cold day, there was still sweat drenching her bangs. "Lass, what are you carrying?" Yang Chung got out of the car and walked to Jinxiu. He took the big cardboard box from Jinxiu's hands. Jinxiu thought that someone was trying to snatch it, but when she saw that it was Yang Chun, she heaved a sigh of relief. Revealing a bright smile, she said, "Brother Yang, why is it you?" "It's nothing, just some second-hand revision books." Yang Chun took a look. There were some science and English books in a cardboard box. They should be cheap books that Jinxiu bought from somewhere. He smiled. "Even if you want to study hard, you don't have to work so hard. It's almost Chinese New Year." Jinxiu's face was a little gloomy. She forced a smile. "It's fine. It's just Chinese New Year. I'll read some books and do some other things. It'll be over soon. If you say that, your sister Ruashi will be sad. She especially missed you. She came with me to pick you up for Chinese New Year's Eve dinner." Yang Chung pointed in the direction of the car. Jinxiu seemed to be a little flattered. She saw Lin Ruashi with a faint smile on her face. She got out of the car. Jinxiu bit her lower lip and couldn't say anything. Let's go. Stay at our house tonight. We'll get together for Chinese New Year. It's better than you being a lonely girl. Yang Cheng said, Don't try to be brave in front of me. I'm not an outsider. This sentence suppressed Jinxiu's refusal. Jinxiu knew that if she refused again, she would be letting down the two people who cared about her. So she nodded. I'll put the books down and come downstairs. More than half an hour later, Yang Cheng drove home. But compared to when he left, there were two more women in the car. When they got out of the car, Lin Ruoxi didn't forget to take Yang Cheng's coat before entering the house. In the living room, Guo Xiuehua, Mother Wang, and Hui Lin were peeling beans together. They were talking and laughing. When they saw Yang Cheng come back with Lin Ruoxi, and suddenly there was a young girl that they didn't know, they were a little curious. Jinxiu noticed Guo Xiuehua first. She had been in the orphanage for so many years. It could be said that she saw Guo Xiuehua's portrait every day. She couldn't help but be stunned. Lin Ruoxi explained, Aunt Guo is Yang Cheng's mother. She lives here now. Ah, Jinxiu exclaimed. Ms. Guo, she is Brother Yang's mother. Jinxiu didn't expect that there would be such a coincidence. Yang Cheng, Ruoxi, this little girl looks so delicate. Whose child is she? Guo Xiuehua saw that Jinxiu was looking at her in shock, so she couldn't help asking with a smile. Yang Cheng gave a look to Lin Ruoxi. He would let Lin Ruoxi explain it to him. So, Lin Ruoxi briefly explained Jinxiu's story. Only then did Guo Xiuehua realize that Jinxiu used to stay in her orphanage, but she had seen so many orphans that she couldn't remember which one was which. Since we are so fated, you can stay in our house. It doesn't have to be for the spring festival. Don't you have to study for the college entrance examination? How can you do well if you study while running a small stall? Why don't you stay in our house for the next 6 months? Ruoxi and Yang Cheng treat you like a younger sister. You don't have to be so restrained. Guo Xiuehua's kindness toward children who had no parents exploded again. After hearing about Jinxiu's rough past, she couldn't help but say that. Lin Ruoxi was stunned. She didn't expect Guo Xiuehua to make such a suggestion. Oh, right. Guo Xiuehua realized that she had ignored Lin Ruoxi's opinion. After all, it was her house. Ruoxi, I just suggested it. It's okay if you don't think it's convenient. Of course, Lin Ruoxi wouldn't think it was inconvenient. Instead, she regretted not thinking about it earlier. She shook her head and said, It's okay. I think it's better that way, too. Jinxiu shook her head hurriedly. That's not okay. I've already received a lot of help. How can I still stay in Sister Ruoxi's house? That's not good. Yang Cheng patted Jinxiu's head. If I ask you to stay, then stay. You can't go back even if you want to. I won't be sending you off. In his heart, however, he thought that there were more and more people in the house. Huilin was here, his mother was here, and now Jinxiu, who was like a sister to him, was here too. Unfortunately, his only man was still living in the female dormitory. It was just that the size of the dormitory was expanding. Under the persuasion of the women, Jinxiu had no choice but to give in. However, if she wanted to stay here, she still had to go back to her small rented apartment to get some necessary luggage and books. Naturally, this matter was settled by Yang Cheng. Just when Yang Cheng was about to sit on the sofa and watch TV, Lin Ruoxi shouted, Where's your coat? Only then did Yang Cheng remember that he had taken off the coat and put it on the woman. He said casually, Throw it over. Lin Ruoxi was a little displeased. She had bought the coat for Yang Cheng. She was not happy to throw it away so casually. Catch! Lin Ruoxi threw the coat to Yang Cheng. In the process of throwing, a string of sparkling and translucent objects fell out of the pocket and landed on the ground with a ding sound. Everyone was stunned. It was a crescent necklace. Huilin happened to be nearby. She squatted down and picked it up. She looked at it and exclaimed, What a beautiful necklace. Is it made of platinum? Lin Ruoxi also noticed the crescent necklace. It was exquisitely made in the shape of a crescent moon. It looked simple, but the lines were very soft. It was indeed a high-quality necklace. The platinum material was also very high-end. She remembered that it was Yang Cheng who put it in his pocket. It couldn't be something that he wore himself. Could it be a gift for a woman? Was it for her? Lin Ruoshi blushed, but then she realized that it was not right. Wasn't her gift the dumpling doll? Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but look at Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng said, "Oh, that was given to me by Jinxiu. I've been carrying it with me." Luckily, it wasn't broken. Seeing that Yang Cheng had been carrying it with him, Jinxiu smiled happily. The platinum necklace that Jinxiu gave to Yang Cheng? Jinxiu lived such a hard life, yet she still gave the platinum necklace to Yang Cheng. Other women didn't think too much about this situation. They only thought that Jinxiu and Yang Cheng had a good relationship. But Lin Ruoshi had seen Yang Cheng flirt with too many women, and there was even a mistress that she knew very well. Usually, she tried her best not to think about it, but now, even Jinxiu, who she regarded as her younger sister, Jinxiu, who was only 18 years old, could it be that she had something to do with this guy? Involuntarily, Lin Ruoshi's eyes turned cold, and the way she looked at Yang Cheng became a bit unkind. Yang Cheng felt a chill run down his spine. Only then did he notice that Lin Ruoshi was looking at him angrily and discontentedly. He suddenly understood what this woman was thinking and couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Darling Ruoshi, don't think too much. This is a souvenir that Jinxiu gave me to thank me for helping her. It's not what you think. There's really nothing between me and Jinxiu." Lin Ruoshi was startled, but then her face turned red. She turned around in a panic and walked upstairs, saying, "Who cares what you have to say?" The other women were also quite embarrassed. Only then did they understand what this couple meant. Jinxiu's face was full of shyness, and she looked at Yang Cheng embarrassedly. Huilin and Mother Wang both had smiles on their faces, but Guo Xuehua heard something else. Yang Cheng said, "There's really nothing?" Didn't that mean that there was something between him and other women other than Jinxiu? Although they hadn't seen each other for more than 20 years, blood was thicker than water. Guo Xuehua quickly discovered the special meaning in her son's words. Thinking about the strange estrangement between Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng, she couldn't help but think, could it be that her son was also a womanizer? If that was the case, there was another meaning behind Lin Ruoshi's coldness towards Yang Cheng and refusal to share a room with him. Chapter 402. Yang Cheng didn't know that his mother had found out about the mistake in his words. But even if she knew, Yang Cheng had nothing to say. Some deep-rooted habits couldn't be changed no matter what. However, Guo Xuehua wouldn't ask Yang Cheng so directly. Not only was it presumptuous, if she asked the wrong question, it would also make the harmonious atmosphere between mother and son stiff. Moreover, Yang Cheng might not want to talk to her. So, after dinner, when Yang Cheng drove Jinxiu home to move her luggage, Guo Xuehua dragged Lin Ruoshi to her study room and asked her about the matter. "Ruoshi, tell me, what did you mean by what you said to Yang Cheng in the afternoon?" Guo Xuehua asked with concern. When Guo Xuehua dragged Lin Ruoshi into the study room so nervously, she thought that she had done something to upset her mother-in-law again. She was puzzled and was still a little confused when she heard Guo Xuehua's question. "Aunt Guo, what do you mean?" "What did I say?" "Don't be afraid to say it. I'm just asking, why did you think that way when you saw Yang Cheng take Jinxiu's necklace?" And Yang Cheng said, "There's really nothing between him and Jinxiu. There's obviously another meaning in his words," Guo Xuehua said. Lin Ruoshi's cold face showed a little hesitation. She didn't expect Guo Xuehua to notice something strange in such a small detail, but it was difficult for her to answer. If she told the truth and Yang Cheng did have a relationship with another woman, would Yang Cheng think that she was the one behind it and didn't have the guts to stand out? But if she didn't say it, Guo Xuehua obviously wouldn't believe her easily. Moreover, she was lying to her elders again. Actually, it's nothing. Lin Ruoshi wanted to avoid it. But how could Guo Xuehua be so easily fooled? When she saw Lin Ruoshi's hesitation, she already knew something. She sighed and said, "Ruoshi, even if you don't tell me, I know that Yang Cheng has other women outside. You are afraid that Yang Cheng will suspect that you're talking bad about him behind his back, but you don't want to lie to me, right?" Lin Ruoshi remained silent. She knew that she couldn't fool him. "I say, you child and my son, What's going on? Guo Shuihua frowned, her mind full of worries. Logically speaking, this kind of thing is the worst. As long as a man raised a child, the family would not have a good ending in the end. You're still so young, but he is already so fickle. No wonder you don't want to accept him. Lin Ruoshi looked at Guo Shuihua, who was full of worries, and felt a little sad. In the past, she didn't treat Yang Cheng as her husband, so she didn't care that he had other women. She even hoped that he would stay with other women every day and not bother her. But now, when she wanted him to stop fooling around, it seemed to be useless. Back then, she was the one who let him do what he wanted. How could she let him cut off everything now? Not to mention that Yang Cheng wouldn't listen to her. Those women wouldn't let him go so easily. Let's talk about her best friend, Mo Chinny. Although the two of them were still on good terms, when it came to men, she was very tight-lipped. It was obvious that she would not let go. Guo Shuihua thought for a long time and asked worriedly, Ruoshi, what are you going to do? Don't tell me you want a divorce. Divorce? Lin Ruoshi bitterly smiled. It was hard for her to say those two words, so she shook her head. I don't know. Fortunately, I don't think about these things all the time. I'll forget about it when I'm working. Guo Shuihua sighed. As Yang Cheng's mother, I should take care of these things. But you also know that it wasn't easy for me to make Yang Cheng accept me. If I take care of it too much, he will inevitably drift away from me. Ruoshi, I hope you can understand me. I thought that you treated Yang Cheng badly and made Yang Cheng feel wronged. But now it seems that I was wrong. I'm a woman, and I understand your feelings. Although Yang Pajuan was blinded by power, he has always been faithful to me. I can't imagine how painful it would be for me if my husband had another woman. Ruoshi, I won't blame you for not sharing a room with Yang Cheng in the future. It's indeed Yang Cheng's fault. Although I'm his mother, I can't accept my son having a relationship with another woman. Lin Ruoshi was slightly startled. She didn't expect that she would be able to move her mother-in-law's spearhead away from her after this incident. To Lin Ruoshi, this was an interesting thing. It was as if she had won a moment of respite in the psychological war. Guo Shuihua suddenly asked, Ruoshi, tell me honestly, which woman is Yang Cheng with? I won't do anything. I just want to understand. With such a beautiful wife like you at home, how can that child be bothered with another woman? Lin Ruoshi bit her thin lips and said, Actually, there's more than one. What? Guo Shuihua's jaw dropped. She didn't care about her manners at all, as if she had heard some shocking news. Lin Ruoshi pouted and said honestly, I've seen at least 3. 2 of them are from my company, and the other one, I don't know. There should be more, but I haven't seen them before. Lin Ruoshi was naturally referring to Mo Chinny, Lu Mingyu, and Xiang Wei, whom she had met them all. As for the other women, she had seen them before, such as Li Jingjing, Tang Wan, Choi Yun, Kai Ning, and Zhao Hongyan. She had also seen them before, but she couldn't be sure. Guo Shuihua had nothing to say now. In the end, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This kid, if he wasn't my son, I would have kicked him out with a rolling pin. Sigh, as his mother, I owe him so much. Ruoshi, it's really hard on you. Lin Ruoshi lowered her head and smiled. It seemed like Guo Shuihua would be on her side after this conversation. Next time, there wouldn't be a situation where the mother and son teamed up to bully her. Lin Ruoshi was still a little happy. As for the matter of Yang Cheng having so many mistresses, she temporarily threw it to the back of her mind. The next day was the new year. As the only man in the family, Yang Cheng didn't have much to do. He sat in the living room and watched the news. A group of children were busy in the kitchen, chatting and laughing. Yang Cheng felt that this kind of life was very comfortable. Suddenly, he felt that there was nothing wrong with staying in the girls' dormitory. In the morning, Xiang Wei called. During the conversation, she told him that she and Mo Chinny had moved to their hometown together. She also complained that Yang Cheng didn't help her move. Yang Cheng knew that she was complaining about not being able to accompany them during the new year. Xiang Wei had so many subordinates. Each of them could move a screw and move a house. At the same time, in the Kai family's courtyard in Zhonghai, Yang Lai, who had been recuperating, couldn't feel how comfortable the new year was. When he woke up in the morning, the first person he saw was his master, Ujizi. When Yang Lai found that his injuries were almost healed, he was extremely happy. However, when he heard that it was Yang Cheng who saved him, his face instantly turned gloomy. When he heard what happened in the past few days, Yang Lai was almost burning with anger. That Yang Cheng was actually the elder brother that he hadn't seen since he was a child. What kind of joke was this? Moreover, Yang Cheng actually took his mother away from the headquarters. Yang Lai thought that when he woke up, the first person he would see would be Guo who cared about him. He didn't expect that Guo would be nowhere to be seen. To Yang Lai, this was like a bolt from the blue. When Yang Pejuan received the news that Yang Lai had woken up, although he was happy, he didn't have time to see Yang Lai due to the impending election. Yang Gongming was already in Yinjing. Of course, it was impossible for him to fly over to see Yang Lai immediately. Because of this, Yang Lai became more and more agitated in the courtyard of the Kai family. Originally, he was favored by the heavens. He didn't expect that he would be defeated by Yang Cheng the first time he went down the mountain to carry out an important mission. Moreover, Yang Cheng suddenly became the eldest son of the Yang family and took away his mother, who was originally only concerned about him. What made Yang Lai even more ashamed was that his life and his cultivation were saved by Yang Cheng. The heater in the room was very strong, and the whole room was warm. However, Yang Lai felt that even his legs under the quilt were ice cold. Ujizi was old and shrewd. He realized that his disciple was troubled by the demons in his heart. However, he didn't have a good solution. He knew that these things were too big a blow to the proud and arrogant Yang Lai. It was impossible for him to recover in a short time. Therefore, he could only leave it to fate and take one step at a time. He planned to return to the Kunlun Mountains after Yang Lai's injuries were almost healed. This time, he went down the mountain to see his uncle Master Ling Shuzi and confirm that there was such a realm. He couldn't wait to go into seclusion and work hard to climb it. In such a situation where people's hearts were warm and cold, the first New Year's Eve after Yang Cheng's return finally arrived. Chapter 403. When night fell, the dining table in the villa was filled with a dazzling array of delicacies. As Guo was from the north, and Mother Wang cooked southern dishes, the dishes tonight were especially sumptuous. Because the people present didn't drink much, they started to fight with real knives and guns after dinner. Big Brother Yang, let's set off the fireworks. Huilin suddenly said while blinking her eyes in anticipation during the reunion dinner. Yang Cheng, who was nibbling on a chicken drumstick, waved his hand and mumbled, "What time is it now? Let's eat first. Isn't there a spring festival gala later? We'll set off the fireworks after that." But shouldn't we be watching TV after the gala? Jinxiu became familiar with them and started to chat at the dining table. Yang Cheng chuckled. "We'll watch the fireworks when the boring programs are released." Guo and Mother Wang looked at each other and smiled at Yang Cheng, who was acting like the king of children. Lin Ruoshi ate quietly, as usual. Even though it was a happy New Year's Eve, she didn't show much excitement. She just picked some food for Jinxiu from time to time. Jinxiu was a little embarrassed. It was understandable for Lin Ruoshi to pick food for her husband and mother-in-law, but it was weird for her to pick food for an outsider. However, Jinxiu cherished the feeling of being loved by everyone in the family. Before dinner was over, the Spring Festival Gala started on TV. After the opening dance, the hosts appeared one by one. Huilin didn't have the chance to watch the Spring Festival Gala in the past, but she was watching it seriously. She suddenly noticed a familiar logo on the side stage where the two hosts were sitting. It was the logo of Yulei. "Sister, why is it your company's logo? Is Yulei sponsoring this year's Spring Festival Gala?" Huilin asked excitedly. Lin Ruoshi nodded. "We did sponsor some in the past 2 years, but we spent more money this year. This is a very important year. The products made of new materials are going to be launched. We need to increase our popularity across the country." When Lin Ruoshi talked about work, her cold face was filled with pride and the flames of struggle. Everyone found it quite interesting. "My daughter-in-law is a strong woman." "That's amazing," Guo said with a smile. "Yeah, I think it's amazing that you can manage such a big company. My head hurts just thinking about it," Huilin said sincerely. Lin Ruoshi didn't stand on ceremony. She had been working so hard all these years just to prove her worth and not to embarrass her late grandmother. This year, I'm going to acquire around 10 more factories and 2,000 acres of industrial land. By then, Yulei will have no competitors in the country, Lin Ruoshi said confidently. Miss, it's the Spring Festival. Don't say such scary things. 2,000 acres and more than 10 factories. That's scary. Mother Wong patted her chest and said with a smile. I think 1 acre of land is quite big, Jinxiu mumbled. Lin Ruoshi suddenly realized that she was at home and not in front of the higher-ups in the company. She couldn't help blushing. Every time she talked about work, she couldn't help but lose control. Yang Chun snickered at the side. It was indeed hard for a housewife like Wang Ma to imagine how unreachable the things Lin Ruoshi usually did were. Perhaps it was because of this that Lin Ruoshi seemed so different from other women of the same age. Quietly, Yang Chun whispered into Lin Ruoshi's ear, "Don't let someone come looking for revenge and say that you ruined their family or something." Lin Ruoshi knew that Yang Chun was talking about the incident at Yuping Clothing. She frowned and said, I still have to do what I have to do. I need to expand, and I need more manpower. I can't just sit back and do nothing just because I'm worried that someone will take revenge on me. That's true. I just wanted to say that you can bring me, your husband, along when you go to the factory for inspections in the future, Yang Chun said with a smile. Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him, but she felt more at ease. Perhaps this was the feeling of having someone to rely on. Not long after, Mother Wong brought out a few plates of dumplings from the kitchen. Although some of them were damaged, they all looked pretty fresh. Come, it's time to eat the dumplings. Miss, young master, don't buy so many dumplings in the future. If you can't finish them, it'll be too much. Mother Wong complained. Lin Ruoshi pouted and said, Mother Wong, I already said that we didn't buy them. Yang Chun participated in a competition, and the shop gave them to us. What competition? Why do they give him dumplings? Guo Xuehua asked curiously. Yang Chun smiled awkwardly and told them about the eating competition in front of the dumpling shop. When Guo Xuehua and the other women heard that Yang Chun ate 88 dumplings, their jaws almost dropped. Don't eat like that in the future. What if you get a stomachache? Guo Xuehua was full of pity and complained. Yang Chun did not say that he did it to win a doll for Lin Ruoshi. He said casually, I won't do it again. Lin Ruoshi was embarrassed to say that Yang Chun found out that she liked the doll. Seeing that Yang Chun did not say it, she knew that he did not want Guo Xuehua to blame her. She could not help but feel warm in her heart. After dinner, Yang Chun followed Hui Lin's instructions and set off all the fireworks, marking the end of the New Year's Eve program. The women were tired. After a busy day, they cooked a table full of dishes. Even if they were happy, they would still be tired. When they went upstairs to rest, Yang Chun, who had finished watching the Spring Festival Gala, switched off the television and went back to his room on the second floor. As soon as he entered the room, Yang Chun took out his phone and sent a message to Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi had just finished showering and came out of the bathroom in a thin white bathrobe. She was stunned to see that someone sent her a message so late at night. When she saw that it was from Yang Chun, Lin Ruoshi was even more stunned. After all, Yang Chun had never sent her a message before, let alone at home. It was almost bedtime. Come to the rooftop. Yang Chun only sent 4 words. Lin Ruoshi frowned. The message was sent just 1 minute ago, which meant that Yang Chun asked her to go to the rooftop of the villa. There was an empty rooftop on the east side of the villa. Usually, there were only some flowers and plants, so she did not go there often. To go or not to go, Lin Ruoshi bit her lip. Without thinking for a moment, she walked into the dressing room in the bedroom, changed into a simple thermal underwear, and put on a light brown mink coat so that she was not afraid of the cold wind outside. Although she didn't know what that guy was going to do so late at night, he wouldn't dare to do anything hard. Lin Ruoshi thought nervously, but she couldn't help but walk out of the room. She walked softly to the rooftop without disturbing others. As soon as she walked to the rooftop, the cold wind at night hurt her face. Lin Ruoshi tightened her coat, and her black hair was blown messily in the wind. Her beautiful face was particularly lovable like the epiphyllum blooming in the quiet night, beautiful and fleeting. Lin Ruashi opened her eyes in confusion and looked carefully. A familiar figure was standing at the railing, looking into the distance and waiting for her. "What's the matter?" Lin Ruashi walked up and asked in a clear voice. She was a little nervous. After all, it was the first time the two of them had a rendezvous on the rooftop in the middle of the night. Yang Cheng didn't turn around and said leisurely, "Look, that's Zhonghai City over there. The lights tonight are much brighter than before." Lin Ruashi walked to the railing and rubbed her hands to get rid of the cold. "Really? I didn't see it." "That's because you sleep after work every day. You don't have the mood and time to watch these boring things." Yang Cheng smiled. "Why are you still watching if you're bored?" Lin Ruashi frowned. "It's boring to watch, but it doesn't matter what I'm watching when there's someone watching it with me." Yang Cheng turned around and smiled mysteriously at Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi was a little flustered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Wife, let me hug you, okay?" Suddenly, Yang Cheng said. Lin Ruashi blushed and glared at him. "Boring. If that's what you want to talk about, I'm going back to sleep. If you don't let me hug you, I'm going to jump down from the 3rd floor." Yang Cheng said. Lin Ruashi pouted. "Go ahead and jump. You only know how to act like a rascal." "I'm really going to jump." Yang Cheng looked serious. Lin Ruashi ignored him and turned around to leave. Suddenly, she heard a few noises behind her, followed by a piercing sound, as if someone had suddenly disappeared. He really jumped? Lin Ruashi's heart skipped a beat, and she quickly turned around. As expected, Yang Cheng was nowhere to be seen. "Yang Cheng!" Lin Ruashi's heart sank, and she cried out involuntarily. She ran to the railing and was about to look down when she saw a figure suddenly jump up. When Yang Cheng jumped down, he grabbed the edge of the rooftop with one hand. At this moment, he was just using the strength of his arm to lift himself up. Others might not be able to do such a terrifying and difficult move in their lifetime. But for Yang Cheng, even jumping from the ground floor to the 3rd floor was just a blink of an eye. Lin Ruashi felt a wave of fear and then another wave of panic. Her vision blurred again, and Yang Cheng was already safe and sound in front of her, looking at her with a smile. Lin Ruashi was so anxious that she was about to cry. She was about to scold him, but before she could say anything, she couldn't say it anymore. This was because Yang Cheng had already opened his big hands and hugged her soft and delicate body tightly in his arms. Lin Ruashi's watery eyes widened. She felt a burst of heavy and powerful heartbeat, and her mouth and nose were filled with a familiar scent. She couldn't help but feel her mind go blank. In the end, she was still hugged, and she was tricked to come back. At this moment, from the direction of the city of Zhonghai, there was a heavy dang-dang sound. Is it the sound of the bell coming from the city? Is it midnight already? Lin Ruashi only heard Yang Cheng's words ringing in her ears, and his hot breath made her feel shy. "Honey, baby Ruashi, do you hear that? This is the sound of the end of this year. We know each other, quarrel, get married, Cold War, pain, happiness, sweetness. No matter what, this year is over." Lin Ruashi was silent. She suddenly understood what Yang Cheng meant when he asked her to come up. She couldn't help but stretch out her hands and hug Yang Cheng's waist at the same time. Although she hugged him gently, she still hugged him. "I want to spend the new year with you, just like now, and every year in the future, it will be like this." His voice was a little muffled at the end because many families in the villa area had lit the last fireworks at this moment. The resplendent fireworks filled the sky, bursting out with a deafening sound that resounded through the clouds. The colorful flames illuminated the peaceful and warm time between the two of them. Chapter 404. After New Year's Eve, it was time to visit relatives and friends. But because most of Lin Ruashi's relatives had migrated overseas, and some of them didn't even know about it, they skipped this event every year. Yang Cheng had it even simpler, as he didn't have any relatives. Guo Shuhua wanted to ask Yang Cheng to go back to Beijing to visit Yang Gongming, but when she called Yang Gongming to ask for his opinion, she was rejected by Yang Gongming. The reason was simple. Letting Guo Shuhua and Yang Cheng stay together was already challenging Yang Pujuan's bottom line. If the two of them were to return to the Yang family in Beijing, It would cause a huge uproar if outsiders saw them during New Year's Eve. Although Yang Gongming recognized Yang Cheng as his grandson, he couldn't hurt his son, Yang Pejuan's heart. Yang Pejuan was bent on getting promoted, and as his father, he couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Moreover, it was still unknown whether Yang Cheng was willing, and it wouldn't be good if their relationship became strained again. Yang Cheng didn't really care, and he didn't think much about it. He only asked Hui Lin and Jinxiu if they needed to visit relatives, but they both shook their heads. Huilin had followed Abbess Yun Miao's instructions to come here. Without Abbess Yun Miao's instructions, she wouldn't have known where to go. Jinxiu was alone. Her mother's relatives were in Korea, and when her mother eloped with her father, they had lost contact. Her father's relatives had all passed away, and the few distant relatives weren't worth mentioning. Therefore, the family didn't need to visit any relatives, and they directly went back to their normal work, life, and studies. On the first day of a new year, Hui Lin went to work with Lin Ruoxi as usual, while Yang Qing followed behind them slowly, and they arrived at Yulei Entertainment. Although it was still during the Spring Festival, some of the main department staff still had to go to work. However, they could relax their work pace and turn a blind eye to them arriving late and leaving early. Yang Cheng walked into his office and slowly sat down on a chair. A thick stack of documents was already placed on his desk. Most of them were related to the upcoming Spring Star of Yulei Talent Show. This was the first major project of Yulei Entertainment. As the organizer and investor, whether or not the higher-ups of Yulei Entertainment could be recognized by the headquarters would depend on whether or not they performed well. Yang Cheng wasn't too worried. He had shamelessly invited that woman, Kristen, over. It would be strange if Yulei Entertainment didn't become popular. After casually looking through the contents of a few documents, Yang Cheng didn't think there was anything that needed to be corrected. In terms of experience, Zhao Teng and Wang Jie were much more knowledgeable than he was. There was no need for him to interfere and display his slight skill in front of the experts. This was just a form of respect for their superiors, and it didn't mean that he had to participate in new opinions. Turning on his computer, Yang Cheng went online and contacted Yuan Yi, who was entertaining relatives at home during the Spring Festival. That guy also escaped and went to his room to surf the internet. Coincidentally, the two of them played a few rounds of Warcraft. When it was almost 11 o'clock, someone knocked on the office door. Seeing that it was almost time, Yang Cheng told Yuan Yi that he was going offline, and then let the person outside the door in. The person who walked in was Zhao Teng, who was in charge of administrative work. However, this guy had a strange expression today, as if he had seen something unusual. He came up and said, "Director Yang, the secretary you want to interview is already waiting outside. May I ask if you'll let her in now?" "Secretary? I want to interview." Yang Cheng was stunned. "What do you mean? What did I say that I wanted to interview a secretary?" Zhao Ting opened his mouth in surprise. "Director didn't give that order?" But the people in the Human Resource Department said that she was the last person left from the few that you personally selected, Director. When did I say that I wanted a secretary? I even forgot where the Human Resource Department is. What nonsense are they talking about?" Yang Cheng frowned, feeling that this matter was too strange. "No matter what, Director, I suggest that you meet the candidate. That lady is not an ordinary person," Zhao Teng said awkwardly. Yang Cheng thought for a moment. He wasn't afraid that it was a monster. It seemed to be coming for him, so he waved his hand. "Let her in." Zhao Teng heaved a sigh of relief, as if he had been relieved of a heavy burden. He smiled and went out to invite the interviewee into the office. After a while, a beautiful figure in a light pink business suit walked in from behind the door. Her slender and plump legs were wrapped in black lace stockings with fine patterns. Her perky buttocks moved with the rhythm of her footsteps. A light purple scarf was wrapped around her fair neck, which made her delicate oval face look particularly bright and beautiful. She was like a warm sun in winter. Yang Qing took a deep breath. Wasn't this the seductress Anxin that he hadn't seen since returning to China? Anxin closed the door smoothly, then winked at Yang Qing playfully. "Hello, Director Yang. I'm a new secretary applying for the job." Anxin. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. "Little lady, what are you doing this time?" Anshin stuck out her pink tongue and looked around the office. She slowly walked to Yang Cheng's side. Nothing. I'm here to look for a job. Yang Cheng hooked his finger at Anshin, signaling her to come closer. Anshin was puzzled. She bent down and moved her fair face closer to Yang Cheng. Her pink lips were smeared with some light lipstick, which made her look even more beautiful. Yang Cheng stretched out 2 fingers and pinched Anshin's nose, squeezing a little. Ugh! Anshin felt a slight pain and frowned as she moved away. She rubbed her nose and said unhappily, "Why are you hurting me? Mistresses have their own dignity. You're not allowed to bully me." "What are you talking about? Aren't you just looking for trouble for me?" Yang Cheng said gloomily. "Right now, that old man of yours has already eaten up most of the Liu family's assets. In terms of family strength, besides the Yuan family, your family is the strongest in Zhonghai. You're the precious daughter of the family, Miss Anshin. Instead of enjoying your leisure, going to the spa, practicing yoga, and tasting Lafite, you came here to be my secretary. Aren't you trying to push your man to the teeth of the storm? You want the whole of Zhonghai to know that I've hooked up with a vixen like you? That's really unpleasant to hear. You're always a vixen. Go to bed, go to bed." Anshin muttered discontentedly. Her face was red, but there was a hint of pride in it. "What's wrong? You don't have the guts for sex anymore? Or are you afraid that your wife will get angry with you?" Yang Cheng coughed twice. "Don't change the topic. Tell me the truth. What are you here for?" Anshin pursed her lips and said, "I'm looking for a job. I can't eat and sleep, sleep and eat. I'm really living like a pig. Originally, I had a job, but now that it's been snatched by you, I've given you everything. I have to stay by your side and can't go far. So, I can't be a flight attendant anymore. Then, of course, I have to find another job. But I don't want to care about those things at home. I get angry when I see my old man. Moreover, those people below him only know how to flatter him. I don't want to work with them. So, I came to find you. Then you can go to another company. Why do you have to come to my place?" Yang Cheng said. Anshin smiled strangely. "Dear, don't you know how many men want to climb up to a rich woman like me?" Yang Cheng opened his mouth and finally came back to his senses. He smiled bitterly and said, "So, you call my company's personnel department and ask them to arrange for you to apply as a secretary? Yes, it's better to be a little more formal. Of course, I actually want to see you more often. If you don't want me to be your secretary and are afraid that your wife will get angry, you can just arrange a job for me. Sweeping the floor, cleaning the toilet, wiping the windows. I can do it." Yang Cheng looked at Anshin's resentful face. He knew that she was pretending, but he still couldn't refuse. He couldn't really keep her in a cage like a canary. From the time an Xin left home to become a stewardess, it could be seen that she liked freedom. Letting her stay in Zhonghai obediently was already a great sacrifice for him. He couldn't just deprive her of the job of keeping a mistress in his house. After thinking about it, he didn't seem to have any reason to refuse Anshin to work by his side. After all, he was the one who captured this woman in his hands. Can you really be his secretary? Have you done it before? Yang Cheng thought for a moment and asked suspiciously. Anshin nodded seriously and said with a little pride, "Don't look down on me. Although I don't have a master's in business administration, I am also a doer. I have dabbled in many of the family's businesses in the past, but I haven't been officially employed. But being a secretary is just a supporting job. I didn't ask you to be the CEO," Yang Cheng said. Anshin smiled slyly. Her eyes were full of sparkles. "My dear boss, don't you know this saying?" "What?" Yang Cheng was puzzled. "When the boss has something to do, the secretary will do it. It's okay, just a secretary." Yang Cheng gulped and then followed up with the second half of the sentence. Then, he grinned and looked up and down at Anshin's office girl attire. After a closer look, it was really a combination of seductive and intellectual seductive posture. "Secretarian, I think what you said is very reasonable. It seems that our future cooperation will be very pleasant." "Director, then have I already passed the interview?" Anshin giggled and asked. There's still one last assessment left," Yang Cheng said seriously. Anshin blinked her eyes. "What?" "True knowledge comes from practice. Secretarian, let's first simulate the theme of the future work." As Yang Cheng said that, He went forward and directly pulled Anshin's soft body into his arms. Anshin let out a delicate cry. Her fragrant body fell across Yang Cheng's thighs, just like that. Her towering breasts were immediately covered by a big hand, causing Anshin's dimples to immediately bloom, tender and alluring. "You want to play in the office so soon? The director is really impatient." Anshin mumbled and panted, but she was a little aroused. She hadn't seen her beloved man for a long time, and at night when she dreamed about it, thinking about those few nights in Hokkaido, Anshin always felt that her lower part was wet. Yang Cheng hugged Anshin's fragrant shoulder with one hand and played with that plump ball with the other. He said contentedly, "Of course I won't be polite if the meat is delivered to my doorstep. Since we're done, we'll go for lunch if we're hungry." Anshin suddenly hugged Yang Cheng's neck with both hands, raised her head, and kissed Yang Cheng on the cheek. "Then should I call you husband or boss?" Call me boss. It's more romantic. I'll call you secretary and—" Yang Cheng smiled evilly. Anshin coquettishly rolled her eyes at him, but she bit her lower lip and nodded shyly. Just as Yang Cheng flipped Anshin over and pressed her down on the desk, preparing to get down to business, he suddenly heard someone knocking on the office door. Chapter 405. This sudden knock on the door directly cooled down Yang Cheng's fiery thoughts. He gloomily patted Anshin's bouncy butt and asked Anshin to tidy up her messy clothes and hair. Anshin also knew that the situation was urgent, so she didn't lock the door. If the person outside didn't knock and directly entered, it would be dangerous just now. After quickly tidying up her clothes, an Xin stood behind Yang Chun. The cultivation of a rich family's young lady caused her to not look as charming as before and was extremely serious. Only then did Yang Chun shout towards the door, "Please come in." The door slowly opened, and a figure that Yang Chun didn't expect abruptly walked into the office. Dressed in a light gray coat that he had just seen in the morning and an orange-red turtleneck sweater, it was this winter's new style of dress that was capable and full of fashion appeal. Lin Ruoshi put down her hair that was originally tied up and leisurely carried a small white bag as she walked into Yang Cheng's office. As soon as she entered the door, a pair of eyes that were as cold as autumn water swept back and forth between Yang Cheng and Anshin a few times. Following that, there was a bit more coldness in her eyes. Yang Cheng's heart also tightened. Was this a roller coaster? Why would Lin Ruoshi suddenly come to his office at this time? She had never been here before. Anshin immediately recognized who Lin Ruoshi was. Although Lin Ruoshi didn't appear in public, as a young lady of the Yin family, she had vaguely seen Lin Ruoshi a few times, but she didn't have the chance to greet her. At this moment, standing face to face, Lin Ruoshi simply looked at Anshin, but Anshin carefully looked at Lin Ruoshi from head to toe. In addition to being indeed prettier than her, Anshin felt that this woman, in addition to being cold, was arrogant. With just a casual glance, Anshin could feel that Lin Ruoshi didn't care much about her. This was her pride. It wasn't that she looked down on others or despised her. It was just her personality. Perhaps in her world, a woman she didn't know, no matter if she was beautiful or ugly, would not cause any ripples in her heart. Ordinary women would feel a little proud when they saw someone uglier than them. Seeing someone who was prettier than her, she would definitely feel a little jealous. However, when Lin Ruoshi looked at him, there was no sense of comparison at all. Anshin, who flew all over the world all year round, had seen countless people. She quickly came up with two explanations for her man's wife. She was simple and didn't have so many worldly thoughts. Or, the realm of thought had reached an extraordinary height. But Anshin didn't think that a woman as young as Lin Ruoshi, who was even younger than her, could be a profound philosopher. However, to say that she was simple, the dignified female CEO of Yulei International, the person at the helm of the business empire, was actually a simple and innocent little woman. Anshin felt that it was too ridiculous. Of course, simple didn't mean stupid. In work, it depended on methods and schemes. Pure and innocent only referred to this woman's emotional world. Anshin believed that she could play some tricks in relationships. Just like back in Hokkaido, she did her best to play with Yang Cheng every night until she was exhausted. It was to make Yang Chung reluctant to part with her. It was to make up for the fact that she didn't spend enough time with Yang Chung. But the woman in front of her, Anshin, had a feeling that she might not even know how to act coquettishly. It wasn't that she didn't want to, she really didn't know how to. It had to be said that a woman's judgment of another woman was extremely accurate. Lin Ruoshi really wasn't good at relationships between men and women. If Lin Ruoshi acted coquettishly towards Yang Chung and gave Yang Chung some benefits, then Yang Chung probably wouldn't have the mood to care about other women. Not to mention that time when he went to the bar gloomily and bumped into Anshin. Unfortunately, things were always unpredictable. Lin Ruoshi's shortcomings just happened to create this relationship between Anshin and Yang Chung. Even Mo Qianni, Lu Mingyu, and the other women also took advantage of this gap. Oh no, General Lin, why are you here? Yang Chung tried to squeeze out a calm smile and asked. The moment Lin Ruoshi saw Yang Chung and Anshin together, she keenly felt something. Anshin looked familiar, but she couldn't remember which family she was from. She didn't care much about it. What made her more angry was that there was a lip mark on Yang Cheng's face. She didn't need to think to know what the two people in the office had just done. Was your right face bitten by a mosquito? Lin Ruoshi asked with a sneer. There are no mosquitoes in winter. Ruoshi, you really know how to joke. Just as Yang Chung finished laughing, he suddenly realized what Lin Ruoshi was talking about. He touched his right cheek, wiped it, and looked at his hand. Sure enough, it was a little red. Yang Chung looked at Anshin, who was pretending to know nothing. The quality of this lip gloss wasn't that good. How could it have faded? He smiled stiffly and said, I can explain this. There's no need to explain. It's not the first time this happened. I'm very interested to know what kind of identity this lady has. Lin Ruoshi directly targeted Anshin. Facing the pressure of the first branch, Anshin's little mistress universe could only explode. She said in a clear voice, Hello, General Lin. I'm the new director's secretary today. My name is Anshin. A trace of thought flashed through Lin Ruoshi's eyes. Following that, she seemed to have thought of something and frowned. The young mistress of the infamily. I don't know which infamily General Lin is talking about, but Zaihuan is indeed my father, although I don't really like to admit it, Anshin pouted and said. Lin Ruoshi seemed to have seen something extremely ridiculous. She looked at Yang Chung with disappointment. So, the mysterious person that the higher-ups in Zhonghai have been talking about before the new year, the one who stole the Liu family's daughter-in-law and helped the infamily to annex the Liu family, is you? Yang Chung was shocked. So Lin Ruoshi actually knew about the incident in Hokkaido. He thought about it and realized that he was too careless. How could the upper-class people in Zhonghai not have found out about such a big incident? Although Lin Ruoshi didn't usually participate in social occasions like banquets, a lot of information would be submitted to her by her subordinates. As the second largest family in Zhonghai, the Liu family was annexed by the infamily. Although there were all kinds of rumors about the infamily's daughter eloping with a mysterious man, the truth had already been proven to be true. Initially, Lin Ruoshi only thought that the incident was very strange. She didn't think too much about it. Only today did she realize that the omnipotent, mysterious man was actually her husband who didn't do proper work. Anshin pouted and didn't speak anymore. She realized that this incident would make Lin Ruoshi extremely angry. Come to think of it, which wife would hear about her husband stealing someone else's bride? Yang Chung froze and smiled bitterly. He didn't know what to say. You're really something. I just realized that letting you sit in the director's position is a waste of your talent. With such great ability, the Liu family was also destroyed by you. With your help, the family directly became the second largest family in Zhonghai. Lin Ruoshi's eyes were a little misty. She sneered and said, Yang Chung, I think I will also give you the position of the CEO of Yulei. Do me a favor and let Yulei become the world's #1. How about it? Missing is the bride you stole. The family can receive this kind of treatment. In any case, we are legally husband and wife, aren't we? Yang Chung looked at how calm Lin Ruoshi was and how she said these words to him as if she was joking. He felt even more guilty and couldn't bear it. Ruashi, don't be like this. I know that I've let you down by doing this. What do you have to let me down? How would I dare let you do that? You're a big shot. You can just play around, and the Liu family is gone. If you want a woman, you can just directly steal her. Moreover, you stole her from Hokkaido back to Zhonghai, Lin Ruashi said with red eyes. Look at you. You won't even listen to my explanation. Don't be unreasonable, Yang Cheng said gloomily. I'm unreasonable. You're saying that I'm unreasonable. Lin Ruashi widened her watery eyes and her pretty face paled. She took 2 steps back, as if she couldn't believe it. Only then did Yang Cheng realize that he accidentally said something wrong. It was too late to change his words. Yes, I'm unreasonable. I only wanted to call you for lunch and see how your work plan for next month is going. Who knew that I would disturb you and your new lover? It's my fault. I'll leave now. I won't disturb the 2 of you. I'm not unreasonable. A hint of coldness flashed through Lin Ruashi's eyes. She silently turned around and opened the door to walk out of the office. Yang Cheng wanted to call out to her, but he didn't know what to say. He couldn't help but slap his forehead and let out a long sigh. Anshin also had a face of grievance. She didn't want things to turn out like this. But because of her, things did seem to have become more difficult to resolve. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you guys to be like this. Anshin's eyes were red as she gritted her teeth and said softly. Yang Cheng laughed self-deprecatingly and patted Anshin's head. Idiot, what does this have to do with you? My own romantic debt, I'll eat the yellow lotus. There's nothing to say. Do you want to chase after her? I'm a woman, and I know that General Lin must be feeling very sad right now. I think you should go and comfort her. Anshin couldn't bear to say it. Yang Cheng sighed bitterly. So what if I chase after her? I can't possibly say that I want to break off my relationship with you and never contact you again. No matter how I explain it, the result is the same. I can only blame myself for being too useless, but I can't change this bad habit of mine. Anshin lowered her head dejectedly. She also realized that she couldn't change anything. It was absolutely impossible for her to leave Yang Cheng. Lin Ruashi, you can hate me. I was the one who stepped in between you 2, but I won't give up just because you're in pain. Anshin clenched her teeth and firmly thought. Chapter 406. Just like that, the matter of an Xin becoming Yulei's secretary was unjustifiable. Fortunately, Yulei Entertainment wasn't a small company, so no one would pay much attention to the director having an unknown secretary. However, the secretary was indeed as pretty as a honey peach. No wonder the director picked her. In a metropolis full of materialistic desires, such a thing was not unusual, and no one would gossip about it out of boredom. But in fact, Anshin had helped Yang Cheng a lot. Anshin said that she had been involved in many family businesses, and it wasn't an exaggeration. In fact, before Anshin became a flight attendant, she had been trained by Nzai Huan as a successor. After all, she was his only daughter. The Yin family's business wasn't top tier in Zhonghai, but it was at the top of the second tier. Otherwise, the Liu family wouldn't have chosen to annex the Yin family as a springboard to compete with the Yuan family. For Anshin, Yulei Entertainment, which had just started, was like a ball of high-quality clay that she could mold. After Yang Cheng assigned some tasks to her, Anshin was extremely relaxed and happy. She used all kinds of ingenious ideas to shape the company's future. When an Xin found out that Yulei's first project was actually a talent show, her eyes lit up. After all, she was a young girl. She had always loved and been fascinated by words like stage, music, crowds, and fashion. Now that she had become a planner, she was even more excited. Zhao Teng and Wang Jie weren't ordinary employees. They had already investigated Anshin's background a few days after Anshin joined Yulei Entertainment. When they learned that Anshin was the daughter of the Yin family, they couldn't help but be shocked. After annexing the Liu family, the Yin family had truly stepped into the top of the pyramid in Zhonghai. Except for the Yuan family, the other big families couldn't compete with them anymore. There were also rumors that the Yin family had a close relationship with the Rothschild family, which made the Yin family a mysterious big family in the eyes of many people. As the daughter of the Yin family, Anshin wasn't very interested in social activities, so she didn't know many people. However, those who really wanted to investigate her knew about her. The dignified young miss of the family actually lowered herself to be the secretary of her own director. In the ears of Zhao Teng and Wang Jie, all kinds of horrifying conclusions could be derived. In the end, there was only one conclusion. Director Yang was too swift and fierce. Yang Cheng didn't know that he had added another layer of glory in the eyes of his two subordinates. At this moment, he was sitting on the big leather sofa in his office, leisurely drinking green tea brewed by Anshin. The LED 41-inch TV in front of him was playing some recent hot entertainment news, mostly related to some musicians. Anshin sat beside Yang Cheng's desk, reading all kinds of materials seriously. They were all sent by Wang Jie and Zhao Teng about the upcoming audition registration and the process of the audition unit. After watching the TV for a while, Yang Cheng pressed the pause button on the remote control board, and the TV picture was fixed on a neutral female singer. Yang Cheng called out to Anshin and said, "Little Vixen, what do you think of this bro? He seems to have been popular for many years, and he seems to be a singer from a talent show as well." Anshin glanced at him, then pouted and said, "She's obviously a girl. How could she be a bro?" "Oh, it was a slip of the tongue. It's mainly because everyone calls her bro. I thought she was a guy," Yang Cheng said as he scratched his head. Anshin pondered for a while and said, "We want to choose a judge. Although she's very popular, it seems like there's more entertainment and not professional enough if she's here. Let's choose someone else." Yang Cheng nodded and felt that it made sense. Yulei Entertainment didn't want to cultivate comedians, so there was no need to look unprofessional for the sake of popularity. Thus, he continued watching. After watching for 2 hours, they roughly selected 5 candidates for the judging panel. They planned to hand them over to Wang Jie so that she could talk to them alone. Yang Cheng looked at the names of these people and frowned. These people all seem to have extraordinary backgrounds. In other talent shows, they all appear alone and take charge. If we ask them to be judges together, it's very likely that it will exceed the budget. Anshin smiled proudly. "Hubby, don't worry. They definitely won't dare to raise the price. They'll even fight to be judges even if they don't pay." "Why?" Yang Cheng asked. "Have you forgotten who the judge for our finals is?" Anshin blinked. Yang Cheng thought for a while and said with a smile, "That's true. With Kristen's reputation, they'll probably be fighting to get some of the limelight. After all, even the kings and queens of Huaxia don't have the chance to be on the same stage as that chick." Anshin's eyes were filled with excitement. "Hubby, how do you even know Kristen? She's the hottest person in the world now. She's like Michael in the past. She's my idol. Back when I was in France, she just happened to participate in a Paris Fashion Week. I waited for a day and a night, but she slipped away. I was so angry at that time. When she comes, I'll ask her to stand in front of you and let my baby Anshin hug and kiss her to her heart's content," Yang Cheng said righteously. Anshin giggled. "Hugs are fine, but kisses are off the table." "Hubby, aren't you jealous?" "Why would I be jealous? Seeing that woman Kristen embarrass herself is something worth being happy about." Yang Cheng curled his lips. Anshin blinked. "Hubby, don't be angry. Actually, I find it very strange. You're so close to Kristen that you invited her to Huaxia's place. Why didn't you do anything to a beauty like Kristen? Instead, you seem to have a grudge against her." Yang Cheng reached out and pinched Anshin's cheek. "How can you talk about your man like this? Kristen is beautiful, but I'm absolutely not interested in her. I can't tell you the specific reason. Anyway, don't mention that to me." Anshin stuck out her tongue and didn't say anything else. Yang Cheng looked at the exquisite colored clock hanging on the wall. It was already lunchtime. He said to Anshin, "Let's go downstairs and see Hui Lin. Ask that girl to join us for lunch." Anshin nodded meekly and got up to pack up. It had been more than a week since she entered the company. It was nearing the end of February, and Anshin had already familiarized herself with some of the daily operations of the company. And Anshin was also trying hard to familiarize herself with the situation around Yang Cheng. Of course, that included the people around Yang Cheng. Other than meeting Lin Ruoxi on the first day and having a bad start with Lin Ruoxi, the people around Yang Cheng got along well. The most interesting thing was that Mo Qianyi and Lu Mingyu came to Yang Cheng's office as if they had an appointment. After getting to know Anshin, they tacitly left together. Yang Cheng didn't know what kind of agreement these women had reached, but as long as Lin Ruoxi didn't ignore him for a few days after meeting Anshin, Yang Cheng was willing to let them get to know each other. The one who had the best relationship with Anshin was Hui Lin. Not to mention that they were in the same company. Hui Lin was the purest and the most childlike. Coincidentally, Anshin was also like a child who hadn't grown up yet. She was full of rebellious and perverse thoughts, but she had been to many places and seen many interesting things. Every time Anshin and Hui Lin were together, there would be endless things to talk about, which always made Hui Lin confused, but her eyes were full of longing, which made Anshin feel extremely accomplished. At noon on weekdays, Yang Cheng would bring the two girls out for lunch. It wasn't that he didn't like the food in the company, but the employees of Yulei Entertainment went to the canteen of the headquarters for lunch, which meant that they would most likely bump into Lin Ruoxi. If he only brought Hui Lin like in the past, it wouldn't matter. But now that he brought Anshin, it was equivalent to challenging Lin Ruoxi's endurance. Yang Cheng wasn't that brave. When they arrived at the recording studio downstairs, the moment Yang Cheng and Anshin entered the room, they didn't see Hui Lin working hard to practice her professional singing skills and music knowledge. Instead, she was sitting quietly on a chair with her head lowered and her hands clenched together, as if she was enduring something. Yang Cheng frowned and walked up to her, asking, "Hui Lin, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Logically speaking, Hui Lin had a good foundation in internal energy, so she wouldn't have any minor illnesses or pains. Hui Lin suddenly raised her head. There were 2 streaks of tears on her face, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. Yang Cheng and Anshin were stunned. They didn't know why Hui Lin suddenly cried like this. "Brother Yang," Hui Lin asked, "my grandpa, he passed away?" Yang Cheng was stunned, while Anshin was shocked. She looked at Yang Cheng with puzzlement. Yang Cheng thought for a while and gestured for Anshin to leave first. Anshin understood that Yang Cheng wanted to talk to Hui Lin alone, so she walked out. "Who told you this?" Yang Cheng asked. Hui Lin sobbed. "Grandma brought Grandpa Gray Robe here just now. Grandma said Grandpa was harmed by bad people. She has to go back to Beijing to take charge of the situation. She asked me to stay here temporarily and listen to you." Yang Cheng frowned. Abbess Yun Miao said this because she didn't want the innocent Hui Lin to know that her grandpa had done such a thing. It was understandable. Yang Cheng pretended that he didn't know anything and let her have her way. "That's right. Your grandpa is gone. I didn't want you to be sad, so I didn't tell you." Yang Cheng nodded. If he was taken away by the so-called Hongmeng Ling Shuzi, it was no different from dead. Hui Lin confirmed the news again. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore, and they rolled down her cheeks. Although she didn't spend much time with Lin Jigua, to the innocent Hui Lin, her grandpa was her grandpa, and her family was her family. It was hard for her to accept this reality. Chapter 407. February and March were the chilly seasons of spring in the south. Before the beginning of spring in the lunar calendar, the cold air could not be swept away from this land. Originally, it was not a big deal, but recently, Hui Lin had been looking gloomy for a few days, which made people around her feel that the winter was still lingering. Guo Xuehua and Mother Wang asked her what was wrong, but Hui Lin did not say anything. She only said that she was fine, which made the 2 elders think that Hui Lin had something on her mind, so it was not convenient for them to ask more. Yang Cheng saw this and discussed with Anshin whether it would be better to bring Hui Lin out to relax. Anshin, who had become good friends with Hui Lin, also agreed with this suggestion. Hui Lin was bored singing in the recording studio every day and learning composition from the music arrangement teachers. It was not a good idea. As for where to go, it was still a problem. After all, although spring was not far away, the temperature was still very low. On a Friday night at the end of February, Yang Cheng went back to his room to take a shower and go to bed after watching the news. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Yang Cheng thought it was Guo Xuehua sending him some snacks like she did in the past. Yang Cheng tacitly accepted this kind of mother's love for her son. It felt strange, but also comfortable. But when he opened the door, he found Lin Ruoxi standing outside with a complicated expression. She was a little nervous, a little embarrassed, a little shy, and a little unwilling. This was the first time that Lin Ruoshi took the initiative to talk to Yang Cheng after the quarrel with Anshin in the office. Yang Cheng was flattered and felt that spring was not far away. Lin Ruoshi was wearing a red round-neck woolen sweater and a gray patterned winter skirt. Her beautiful eyes made her look even more charming, especially when she pursed her thin lips. She looked like a blooming red mountain in spring. She was more beautiful than a flower. Ruoshi, babe, you're finally willing to talk to me. Are you missing your husband's embrace? Are you looking for me on a long winter night? Yang Cheng said with a smile. Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth and glared at him. She walked into Yang Cheng's room, then turned around and took out a knitted gray scarf from her back. The scarf design was very simple, but it was made of high-quality cashmere thread. It was soft and warm. For me, Yang Cheng was stunned and looked at Lin Ruoshi in surprise. Babe, you know how to knit a scarf for me? Lin Ruoshi turned her head away in embarrassment. Aunt Gwen knitted it, but she said she wanted me to put on for you. Lin Ruoshi's voice became softer and softer. She was obviously very embarrassed. Yang Cheng suddenly realized that his mother was always worried about the relationship between him and his wife. She must have used this method to ease the conflict between the young couple and make them closer. However, he didn't expect that Gui Shuahua would secretly knit a scarf for him. Although Yang Cheng basically didn't need it, and winter was almost over, it was still a formal gift from a mother to her son. Yang Cheng couldn't help but think if he should open his mouth and call her mom. Put the scarf here. I'm leaving. Lin Ruoshi put the scarf on Yang Cheng's mattress and then turned around to leave. She really couldn't imagine what it would be like if she put the scarf on Yang Cheng. It made her too shy. Don't go. Yang Cheng smiled evilly and grabbed Lin Ruoshi's wrist. You dare to disobey your mother-in-law's orders? Oh, you're bullying me again. Lin Ruoshi was so anxious that her face turned red. How is this bullying you? What's the big deal about a wife putting a scarf on her husband? If you're willing, I can even help you wear underwear every day. Yang Cheng laughed. I don't want you to help me. Wear that. Lin Ruoshi stomped her feet. Seeing that she couldn't break free from Yang Cheng, she could only pick up the scarf angrily and said to Yang Cheng angrily, Move your pig hand away. How can I put it on with one hand? Yang Cheng smiled. Pigs don't have hands. These are pig trotters. Lin Ruoshi ignored him. Seeing that he let go of her hand, she simply closed her eyes and didn't look at Yang Cheng's teasing expression. She didn't want to be angry and embarrassed. She directly flung the scarf around Yang Cheng's neck. However, when Lin Ruoshi closed her eyes, it made things easier for Yang Cheng. He quickly hugged Lin Ruoshi's fragrant body in his arms. Lin Ruoshi let out a soft moan. The moment she suddenly opened her eyes, Yang Cheng kissed her lips heavily. Ugh! Lin Ruoshi's eyes widened. Her watery eyes were filled with excitement, shyness, and sullenness, but she was powerless to resist. Her whole body was sore and soft as if she had no bones. She let Yang Cheng's bandit tongue enter her mouth. She clumsily dodged, but instead became Yang Cheng's playful toy. Yang Cheng enjoyed it. Every time he hugged this stunner, apart from the great physical pleasure, the spiritual sense of conquering a goddess was indescribable. It was as if he was not hugging a woman, but hugging the whole world. When Yang Cheng's hand slowly tried to caress Lin Ruoshi's full chest, Lin Ruoshi finally couldn't bear it. She couldn't help but hurriedly separate their lips and blocked Yang Cheng's mischievous hand. Yang Cheng also realized that he was too lustful. He had failed for so long in his dream of sharing a room. How could he settle it when they had just reconciled? Looking at Lin Ruoshi's misty eyes, Yang Cheng smiled awkwardly and said, I won't touch. Just a hug will do. Let go of your pig trotters, Lin Ruoshi said coldly. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. Her learning ability was too fast. Since you were so thirsty, go find your little secretary. Don't open a dye shop just because I gave you some color. If Aunt Gui didn't ask me to come today, I wouldn't even bother with a guy like you, Lin Ruoshi said coldly. Yang Cheng wasn't angry, I know. I'm already very grateful that you came. After all, it's all my fault. Seeing that Yangcheng admitted his mistake so straightforwardly, Lin Ruoshi didn't say anything else. But she also knew that this guy obviously knew his mistake and wouldn't change. She was tired of having one lover after another, but she couldn't say anything about it. Men were getting more and more fickle, but she was getting deeper and deeper in the mud. When he hugged and kissed her just now, she actually didn't have the thought of resisting, but just resisted it instinctively. Doesn't this mean that I've already taken these intimate actions as a matter of course? Every time she thought of these helpless things, Lin Ruoshi would try her best not to think about it. Then, she thought of another thing that she wanted to talk about. She asked, Hui Lin told me that that person passed away. Is it true? Lin Ruoshi's expression changed, and she fixed her gaze on Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng was slightly startled. He didn't expect that Hui Lin would tell Lin Ruoshi about Lin Jigua, but then he felt relieved. The barrier between the two sisters was that they had different opinions about Lin Jigua, their grandfather. Now that Lin Jigua was gone, there was nothing for them to avoid. It's true. He will never appear in front of you again. Yang Cheng nodded. A touch of sadness flashed across Lin Ruoshi's eyes. He's gone too. Yang Cheng didn't speak. He knew very well that to Lin Ruoshi, Lin Jigua wasn't a qualified elder. He was even a person that Lin Ruoshi hated. However, people's feelings were always contradictory. After all, Lin Ruoshi wasn't Hui Lin. She wouldn't take Lin Jigua too seriously. In a sense, his death was a form of relief for Lin Ruoshi. You already knew who Hui Lin is, right? Yang Cheng asked. Lin Ruoshi nodded. When Yang Lai came last time, I heard him call her Hui Lin, so I guessed it. But Hui Lin is just Hui Lin. I won't treat her like that person just because she's his granddaughter. She's a good girl, and I like her very much. Your good sister has been feeling down recently. Anshin and I are discussing bringing Hui Lin out to relax. Let's pick a day to go out and have some fun. Where do you think we should go? Yang Cheng asked with a weird smile. Lin Ruoshi could tell what he was implying. Why is that woman bringing Hui Lin out with you? Oh, in that case, my dear Ruoshi, are you willing to bring Hui Lin out with me? Yang Cheng asked. Lin Ruoshi frowned. Hui Lin is my sister. Why should she be brought out by someone else? I'm not interested in going with you. Yang Cheng slapped his head. Aya, what should I do? Anshin is Hui Lin's good friend. I've already mentioned this to Hui Lin. I can't possibly tell Hui Lin that Anshin and I won't go and your sister will bring you out, right? Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him. I'm bringing Hui Lin to my hot spring resort. If you want to go, you'll have to drive. Yang Cheng said seriously. If Anshin wants to go, do I have to stop her? Well, Ruoshi baby, I'm sure you don't want to see her. I can't be bothered with her. Do you think I'll care about your trivial matters? Lin Ruoshi sneered. Yang Cheng grinned. I knew it. How can the great General Lin be afraid of Anshin? Let's go and have fun together. Lin Ruoshi felt bitter, but she couldn't say it out loud. Otherwise, it would seem as if she was afraid of meeting Anshin. She snorted and walked out of the door. Yang Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, he had a sudden idea to let his wife meet Anshin again. If they met each other more often, some of the good and bad things would make sense. Just like Mo Chinny. Wasn't she also his lover? She was fine under Lin Ruoshi's nose every day. Although he felt sorry for Lin Ruoshi, he couldn't hurt all the other women for one woman, unless he didn't start. But that was nonsense. How could he run away? It wasn't easy to enjoy his luck with women.